Chapter 1209. All of the people from the Flame Heart clan raised their hands high up, and a large amount of flames surged out from their palms, making them look extremely cautious. The temperature suddenly rose by several times, and even Su Yun could not completely ignore it. The Flame Heart clan people immediately flew up and stopped Su Yun. "Who are you people? Why did you trespass into my Flame Heart realm? Leave quickly, otherwise, I will refine all of you alive and turn you into nourishment for us." An abnormally tall Flame Heart clan member walked out of the crowd and shouted with a rough and loud voice. Su Yun looked at the Flame Heart clan people, and then asked loudly, "Flame Heart clan people, let me ask you, are there any other people from other clans in the Flame Heart realm? Who the hell are you?" The tall and sturdy Flame Heart clan did not answer Su Yun, but instead looked at him even more vigilantly. Seeing that, Su Yun frowned. From the actions of the Flame Heart clan people, they seemed to be extremely against outsiders, but when he asked, they seemed to be deliberately hiding something. It was truly suspicious. But fortunately, Octagon Aniseed had said before that the Flame Heart clan was a clan that worshipped martial power. They respected martial power, and whoever was stronger, they would respect that person. Since he had come to the Flame Heart realm and wanted to find someone here, it would naturally be much more convenient if he could conquer the natives here. Su Yun took a deep breath. His eyes flashed with coldness. He suddenly pulled out the dual moon sword and waved it towards the distance. The immortal chi was injected into the sword, and following the activation of the spirit sword's characteristics, the immortal chi that was released immediately multiplied crazily. A shocking aura gushed out from the sword, shooting straight into the distance. An incomparably huge group of volcanoes in the distance was struck by this celestial chi. The entire group of volcanoes instantly turned into ashes, disappearing without a trace. Even the magma within the mountains disappeared along with it. This method was simply unstoppable, destroying everything in its path. Seeing that, the Flame Heart clan people were all dumbstruck. After a moment, they all prostrated themselves on the ground and kowtowed towards Su Yun, as though they were completely intimidated by Su Yun's methods. In fact, Su Yun himself was also rather shocked in his heart. He knew how much immortal chi he had activated and how much damage he could cause, but to erase all the volcanoes that were filled with magma along with the magma, this was something that he could not do with the strength he had activated just now. Previously, when he was fighting with the vice president in the Immortal Court, Su Yun had overestimated his destructive power at that time. It was probably because of the amplification of the double moon sword that the vice president's defense collapsed and his chest was completely pierced through. But thinking about it, Su Yun's face became serious. With such a detailed calculation, the vice president's strength should be much higher than the peak spirit god. The people of the Flame Heart clan were completely subdued by Su Yun's martial power, and did not dare to have the slightest bit of resistance. Su Yun glanced at the people of the Flame Heart clan indifferently, and then repeated the question from before. That tall and well-built Flame Heart clan member hurriedly answered, "Powerhouses there are. Yes. A few days ago, an expert came to our clan and defeated the strongest warrior in our Flame Heart clan. His martial power is too strong, and our Flame Heart clan can only respect him as our leader." Hearing that, Su Yun looked at Octagon Aniseed, and was sure that this person was definitely the disciple of the Imperial Ming Sword, and immediately asked, "Where is that person now?" "Cultivating in my Flame Heart clan's sacred land. My clan's sacred land does not allow outsiders to enter, but that expert is too strong. We cannot stop him, so we can only follow him." The Flame Heart clan member's words were filled with helplessness. "I know, quickly bring me to see that person," Su Yun said directly. Su Yun was powerful, so the Flame Heart clan members did not dare to go against him, and immediately led him towards the Flame Heart clan's sacred land. The so-called sacred land was located in the Flame Heart realm's largest volcano. The volcano spewed out magma, the temperature was extremely high, and the flames soared into the sky, but the Flame Heart clan members were bathed in the flames, and were not affected in the slightest, just like bathing in the rain under the sun. Su Yun's cultivation was high, so he was fine, but it was hard for him to endure, but fortunately, Su Yun was able to share the burden. Under the guidance of the Flame Heart clan members, the two of them walked towards the crater of the volcano. The lava at the crater of the volcano shot everywhere, and below them was a patch of red, but there was an extremely narrow path next to the volcano wall. The Flame Heart clan members followed this path down, but Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed stepped on the air, and were completely unobstructed. They walked all the way to the bottom of the volcano, passing through the terrifying magma. At the bottom of the volcano there was actually a gigantic palace. In the center of the palace was boiling magma, and the magma of the volcano was ejecting out, but on the two sides of the magma pool, there were two ancient statues. From the looks of it, they seemed to be the ancestors of the Flame Heart clan, and on the walls of the palace there were reliefs. These reliefs were lifelike, they were painted all over the walls, as though they were recording the history of the Flame Heart clan. However, when the two of them entered, their gazes were fixed on the lady in green, who was sitting cross-legged at the side of the magma pool, and their gazes did not leave for a long time. The woman was rather delicate and pretty, with phoenix eyes and a beautiful face. She was tall and slender, and carried a red sword on her back. She looked rather heroic. Seeing that, Su Yun was startled. A woman? Be careful, this is your opponent. Octagon Aniseed nudged Su Yun with his elbow and said softly. Su Yun did not say anything. His gaze landed on the green-clothed lady, sizing her up from top to bottom. The lady seemed to have entered a meditative state, so no one had any reaction, but her entire body had an unmoving aura like the wind. Just as Su Yun was about to approach, he did not stop in his tracks. He looked around and discovered that there were actually 5 array seal S around the green-clothed lady, and the source of these array seal S was the sword on her back. Sword formation? Su Yun frowned. Just then, the woman who was sitting cross-legged suddenly opened her tightly shut eyes. It was a pair of scarlet-yellow eyes, filled with heroic spirit, causing people to not dare to look straight at her. When she saw these uninvited guests, her gaze naturally started to size up Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed. Who are you? The lady in green said indifferently. We are from the demon realm. Su Yun replied. People from the demon realm? The lady in green frowned. Why would the people of the demon realm come here? Naturally, I have something to look for you. What business does the people of the demon realm have with me? The lady in green seemed to be a little impatient, and said indifferently, I still have things to do, don't bother me, quickly leave, or else don't blame me for being impolite. The underworld is facing a great calamity. As the disciple of the Imperial Underworld Sword, shouldn't you come out to defend against the enemies after the battle? A great calamity is about to befall the underworld. The lady in green's eyes became serious, she stared at Su Yun and said, What are you talking about? How powerful is the underworld? Who else dares to make an enemy out of my great underworld? Don't spout nonsense here. Be careful that I tear your mouth apart. It seems like you don't know anything about the outside world. Su Yun said indifferently. The Immortal Court Army has officially begun to exterminate the people of the true Devil Realm. In order to avoid the butcher knife of the Immortal Court Army, the people of the Demon Realm have entered the underworld to seek refuge, but who would have thought that the people of the Immortal Realm would actually use this as an excuse to mobilize millions of people, and officially head towards the underworld, intending to exterminate all of the Devil Cultivator and the people of the underworld. Currently, the Devil Cultivator's strength is weak, and the underworld is in a state of disunity, and there are no powerful and virtuous people who stand out to unify the chaotic situation and organize an army to resist the Immortal Court Army. When the lady in green heard this, she raised her eyebrows and said indifferently, Oh, according to what you said, the reason the Immortal Court Army brought people to my underworld was for you Devil Cultivator? Could it be that Miss thinks that the Immortal Court army does not intend to touch the underworld? I'm not that naive. The lady in green snorted. In the 10,000 realms of the heavens, how many realms are there left that have not been governed by the Immortal Court? The underworld is one of them, and they have already used their knives against the underworld before. Now that they have brought so many people to take care of the remnants of your demon realm, how can they not be suspicious? It's a pity that the few underworld commanders of your esteemed realm are not as far-sighted as Mississippi. They are still scheming against each other for their own personal grudges, and have no intention of defending against external enemies. Su Yun said indifferently. Scheming against each other? Since they don't care about this matter, what does it have to do with me? You guys should leave quickly. I don't want to disturb Master for this kind of thing. Since the people of the underworld are not united at such a critical moment, then let them suffer a little. The Immortal Court army is so ferocious that the underworld is completely unprepared. If we don't make preparations in time, once the gate to the underworld is breached, the situation will be over, and it will be impossible for us to counterattack. Miss, no matter what, please immediately inform Lord Imperial Sword and ask him to quickly come and take charge of the situation. Su Yun said again. When the lady in green heard this, a wave of anger surfaced on her face, and she snorted. What if I don't? What can you do to me? Su Yun did not say anything. After a moment of silence, he slowly closed his eyes. However, Octagon Aniseed stepped forward and cupped his fists, saying, Miss, this is a matter of a single realm. Please do not let your personal emotions affect the important matters. The current situation is extremely urgent. If you are unable to invite Lord Imperial Sword to come out, then please represent Lord Imperial Sword to the underworld. You want me to go? The lady in green was startled. Miss is the beloved disciple of Lord Imperial Sword. It's the same if you go. Octagon Aniseed chuckled. The lady in green curled her teeth and snorted again. Brat, who are you? Little brat? The corner of his mouth twitched a few times. However, he suppressed the displeasure in his heart and squeezed out a smile. I forgot to introduce you. I am the Vice Sect Master of the True Devil Realm's True Devil Sect, Chi-Chi, and this is our True Devil Sect's Lord Demon Lord, Su Yun. He was someone who had fought with the Vice President of the Immortal Court. He is the strongest person in my demon realm. Someone who fought with the Vice President of the Immortal Court? As soon as she said that, the lady in green's eyes shone brightly, and a strong fighting intent rose. Su Yun secretly knocked on Octagon Aniseed's little head. He was not an idiot. He naturally understood that he had been sold by Octagon Aniseed. Chapter 12:10. As expected, when the lady in green heard this, she seemed to be interested. She looked at Su Yun again and said indifferently, I see that you have not reached the peak of the Spirit Cultivator's cultivation. With your strength, how can you contend against the Vice President of the Immortal Court? Are you two here to joke? Or do you think that I, emoji, am easy to deceive? If you don't believe me, you can go to the Immortal World and ask around to see if the Immortal Court was attacked by the Devil Cultivator and if the Vice President of the Immortal Court was injured. It's impossible to fabricate such a thing. After all, you can easily find out if it's true or false. Octagon Aniseed said. The lady in green did not think so. She stood up, with one hand behind her back. She pulled out the sword behind her. The moment the sword was unsheathed, a burst of blazing light swept out in all directions, and the 5 sword formations surrounding her shattered in an instant. Since you have such strength, why don't you spar with Ji Hua? Although Ji Hua has never seen the Vice President of the Immortal Court, his name is like thunder in his ears. He is an existence that stands at the peak of the immortal world. How could an ordinary person dare to challenge him? If you really have that kind of strength, I believe that defeating Ji Hua will be an easy task. Isn't that so? Emoji said indifferently. Hearing that, Su Yun shook his head. You are not qualified to spar with me. I don't want to exchange blows with those who are too weak. If that's the case, it's too boring. Furthermore, it's a waste of my time. My time is very precious. If everyone wants to exchange blows with me when they see me, wouldn't I be too busy? Unless. Su Yun raised his eyebrows. Unless what? Emoji Hua asked angrily. Unless you are willing to agree to what I just asked. If that's the case, I might be willing to teach you a few moves. Su Yun said. Hearing that, he blinked at Su Yun and gave him a thumbs up. Hearing that, Emoji Hua coldly snorted and said, So that's what you guys are planning. I won't force you to do anything. As long as I win, you'll have to fulfill the request I made earlier. However, if I lose, I'll leave immediately and won't make things difficult for you. Do you dare to fight me? Su Yun said again, this time he was trying to provoke him. Emoji Hua had long been angered by Su Yun. Hearing his arrogant words, he was fuming with anger. He slammed the table and shouted, Why wouldn't I dare? I'm the disciple of the famous royal underworld sword. Why would I be afraid of someone with a sharp tongue like you? Alright. Delightful. Since that's the case, come at me. I happen to be a swordsman as well, so let's compete in swordsmanship. Let's see if the swordsmanship of the Imperial Dark Sword is more powerful, or if the swordsmanship inherited by my master is more powerful. Su Yun said as he took out the twin moon sword. I will make you pay for your arrogance. Emoji Hua said coldly and got into position. Get out of the way, they're going to fight. Octagon Aniseed immediately shouted at the Flame Heart Clan people behind him, then ran to the side of a large rock and sat down cross-legged, as if he was watching a show. Seeing that, the Flame Heart Clan people were also extremely excited. Although this was their sacred ground, and if they fought, it would definitely be damaged, but their mentality of worshipping the strong caused them to not care about it, and even pulled more of their clansmen to watch. In an instant, the entrance to the sacred ground was filled with people from the Flame Heart Clan. Su Yun did not make any sword moves, he only made a casual pose, and did not even activate his immortal chi. His attitude was like adding oil to the fire, causing Emoji Hua to be extremely angry. This is simply going too far. Emoji Hua was enraged. With a low roar, he activated his chi, and with a move, he rushed towards Su Yun. When she moved, her body released a large amount of grayish-black gas. This gas swayed along with it, like a fairy waving her colorful silk, dazzling with a dense sense of mystery. The reason why the Imperial Darksword was so famous, and why the Immortal Court was afraid of him, was not only because of his peerless cultivation, but also because of the Imperial Darksword's sword techniques. Imperial Sword Art. No one knew the real name of the Imperial Sword, so people named it after its sword technique. It was said that the Imperial Sword Art was able to understand the underworld, and unknowingly drag the opponent into the true underworld, causing them to die instantly. It was precisely this terrifying sword art created by the Darkriding Sword that allowed him to easily kill the experts of the Immortal Court without leaving a trace when he fought against them. It had completely intimidated the Immortal Court, causing the Immortal Court to not dare to plot against the Netherworld for many years. The people of the Immortal Court were unable to measure how strong the Imperial Darksword was. The 3 Nether Generals and 5 Nether Generals of the Underworld were all ordinary people. Adding the Imperial Darksword, it was not easy to take them down. If they were to compare the current true Devil Realm to the Underworld, they would not even be worthy of carrying the shoes of the Underworld. Emoji Hua rushed over. The grayish-white aura behind her turned into a pair of gigantic wings. The wings formed, her speed suddenly increased explosively. Su Yun guessed that Emoji Hua's strength should be around the 6th stage of the Spirit Profound God Realm, suppressing him by 1 stage, but the dual moon sword and Imperial battle robe in his hands were enough to make up for the difference. Adding some of his special abilities, his own strength was not at the 5th stage of the Spirit Profound God Realm. Emoji Hua instantly appeared in front of Su Yun. Su Yun was not on guard. The dual moon sword immediately struck out, activating the divine wind sword technique. 10,000 sword images formed in front of him, and smashed towards Emoji Hua like a meat grinder. Unexpectedly, at this time, the vapor wings on her back suddenly spread out, forming a gigantic shield in front of her, directly blocking the countless sword images, and then, Emoji Hua's sword struck towards Su Yun's heart. In the midst of the attack, her left hand swiped towards the chi that had turned into a gigantic shield, and with a pull, the chi directly condensed into a vapor sword in her hand, and with both swords, she attacked Su Yun. Su Yun frowned. What a sharp attack! What a sharp defense! This grayish-black chi should be the Imperial Ming sword chi. The Imperial Ming sword was mainly based on chi, and its moves could be changed according to one's heart. He really did not expect this chi to be able to attack and defend. It was ever-changing. Su Yun only had one sword. It was impossible for him to defend against two attacks at the same time. The opponent's speed was not slow. If he forcefully fought with speed, he would only suffer a huge loss. Immediately, he took a step back, and the dual moon sword in his hand directly flew out. Clang! The dual moon sword was sent flying and fell into the magma, while Su Yun also retreated, dodging the sharp attack. Emoji Hua stopped. Seeing that Su Yun had lost his weapon, she immediately snorted. You're only SOSO with your strength, you can fight against the Vice President of the Immortal Court? Then if I fight against the Vice President of the Immortal Court, wouldn't I be able to kill him? The two of you are really just boasting people. Isn't it not over yet? Su Yun shrugged. Not over? No. It's over. The thing I hate the most in my life is people lying to me. Since you lied to me, then I will cripple your cultivation as punishment. Emoji Hua said coldly, and then rushed forward again. Killing intent erupted and her fighting spirit soared. She was like an enraged lioness. At this moment, only a battle could calm her down. She let go of the chi sword, and the chi sword dispersed, turning into a large amount of grayish-black gas that circled around her, while the real sword in her hand danced quickly, as if she was drawing some sort of formation. When the real sword finished dancing, the gas around her body started to squirm crazily. Following the previous trajectory, it quickly condensed into an incomparably huge sword formation. When the sword formation was formed, a wave of mental energy was produced from the sword formation. Su Yun was immediately dazed, and at the same time, the sword formation produced an extremely shocking pulling force, forcing his body to continuously move towards the sword formation. Although the sword formation was condensed from the grayish-black gas, in Su Yun's eyes, it was like the mouth of an abyss, extremely terrifying. Demon Lord, be careful! When Octagon Aniseed saw this scene in the distance, he cried out in alarm. He did not know Emoji Hua's strength, nor did he have a rough understanding of Su Yun's current strength, so he did not know if Su Yun had any chance of winning against Emoji Hua. But looking at the current situation, Su Yun seemed to be at a disadvantage. However, Su Yun did not reveal the slightest bit of panic. Suddenly, he raised his hand and made a sword gesture. Whiz! A wave suddenly rose up from the surging magma. Following that, a sword image quickly attacked, pouncing straight behind Emoji Hua. Sword intent exploded. As the cold killing intent approached, Emoji Hua's entire body quivered. He immediately turned around and raised his sword to block, and when he deflected the sword, Su Yun had already moved to her side. Crash! With the full power of the Imperial Battle Robe, the sword formation that Emoji Hua had condensed with chi instantly dissipated. Not only that, the chi in her body was like a dam that had burst, rushing towards Su Yun's body. All of this happened too suddenly. What? Her face changed, and she immediately brandished her sword to stab at Su Yun. But the current Su Yun did not have the slightest intention of dodging. He pressed one hand on Emoji Hua's shoulder, and the other hand formed a sword art, urging the double moon sword to attack her from behind. At the same time, his eyes shone, and he actually used the great exquisite technique. She did not expect Su Yun to know how to use the imperial sword technique, and to be so exquisite, and even more so, she did not expect him to be so bold as to directly come over to fight with her. The mental fluctuations in his eyes were especially strong. Although Emoji Hua did not know what technique it was, he knew that he could not look at it head-on. He could only forcefully close his eyes and raise his sword to block the double moon sword behind him. Her chi was disrupted by Su Yun's imperial battle robe, and her imperial sword technique was strongly hindered, making it difficult for her to unleash her full power. All of this was unexpected. However, she believed that with her own abilities, she would be able to protect herself. However, not long after she closed her eyes, the hand on her shoulder suddenly retracted. What was going on? An uneasy feeling arose in her heart. She hurriedly opened her eyes and looked forward. However, the moment she opened her eyes, the scene in front of her completely shocked her. In all directions around her, countless flying swords were floating in the air. Each sword was wrapped in a dense immortal chi, and the tip of each sword was aimed at her. The victor had been revealed. Chapter 12:11. The sharp flying sword emitted a dense immortal chi, and a strong destructive power reverberated between the sword edges. Miss, if I wanted to kill you, I'm afraid that not even dregs of you would be left. Do you still want to continue fighting? Su Yun held onto the sword art with one hand and laughed. Despicable! Seeing the flying swords suddenly surrounding him, Emoji Hua finally reacted and shouted angrily. The outcome has been decided, but where is the word despicable? Su Yun raised his hand and retracted the sword art, causing the large number of flying swords to fly towards the sword sheath behind him. So the flying swords all flew into the sword sheath and disappeared without a trace. These were all divine swords that supported the seal of the ominous sword, but it did not matter if they were taken out at the last moment. Seeing Su Yun's methods, the fighting intent in Emoji Hua's eyes became even stronger, but she did not attack again. Instead, she stared at Su Yun and bellowed, "You are the successor of the Limitless Sword Ancestor? What you just used was the Limitless Sword art. Yes, I never thought that you would have such good eyesight. I admire you, I admire you." Su Yun smiled. "Humph, don't be so glib. If you are the successor of the Limitless Sword Ancestor, then you should know where the Limitless Sword Ancestor is?" Emoji Hua said coldly. "What do you want?" "Nothing much, it's just that my teacher has been searching for the whereabouts of the Sword Ancestor for many years, hoping to compete between the Imperial Underworld Sword and the Limitless Sword art. Since you are the successor of the Limitless Sword Ancestor, then please bring a message. My teacher hopes to be able to compete with the Sword Ancestor." "No need." Su Yun waved his hand and laughed. "Didn't the Imperial Underworld Sword and the Limitless Sword art already determine who is stronger? You." Hearing that, Emoji Hua's face immediately flushed red, and said angrily, "That is because my cultivation is not high enough, my skills are not good enough, it is not the fault of my sword techniques. How can you shirk it like this? If that's the case, then when my master ancestor loses, can he say that his cultivation is not high enough? His skills are not good enough, and it is not the fault of his sword techniques? This. All right, lady, I have to ask Master Ancestor about the duel, but I have already won against you. Based on our previous agreement, please inform Master Imperial Underworld Sword as soon as possible, and ask him to quickly to return to the Underworld and take charge," Su Yun said. Hearing that, Emoji Hua stomped his feet in anger, but he could not do anything to Su Yun. "Your techniques are strange, and you're actually so shameless when fighting with others. First, you use an illusion technique, then you use a sword technique. Every move of yours is impossible to defend against. This is not the work of a swordsman. Did you just say that we can't use illusions during our duel? Moreover, since it was a battle, how could one restrict one's moves? You didn't say that we can only fight with our swords. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders and said. All right, Miss Mo, there's no need to say any more. Time is of the essence. Hurry up and inform your master. I believe that the disciple of the Imperial Underworld Sword isn't someone who goes back on his word, am I right? Su Yun said. These words made Mo-fingered Flower speechless. She clenched her fists and finally gave up. She turned her head and snorted. She sat down cross-legged and said coldly, When I'm done with the matters here, I'll inform Master. Finished dealing with the matters here? Su Yun's face was filled with confusion. What else is there? Right now, the underworld is in danger. Is there anything more important than the underworld? You have to be clear about two things. Firstly, the underworld is not my underworld. I do not need to be responsible for it. Secondly, although I promised you that I would inform Master and let him return to the underworld to take charge of the situation, I did not tell you when I would inform Master. Master's whereabouts are erratic, and I cannot guarantee that I will immediately find Master, understand? This time, it was Su Yun's turn to be in a difficult position. He looked at the surging magma at the side, then looked at the sword on Emoji Hua's back side and said, Since that's the case, then please remember this matter. I will not disturb you any further, farewell. Yes. Emoji Hua snorted, but did not urge him to stay. Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed immediately turned and planned to leave. But just then, Emoji Hua suddenly called out to Su Yun. Hey, wait a minute! Hearing that, Su Yun stopped and turned around, only to see that Emoji Hua seemed to have thought of something. He walked over and said, Do you want me to immediately inform Master and let him return to the underworld? From what you're saying, you're planning to drag it out for a long time? Of course, I can take as long as I want. That's my right. Emoji Hua snorted. Since that's the case, then I don't want to say anything more. Since you are willing to ruin the reputation of the Imperial Underworld Sword, you can be a person who goes back on his word. Although the people of the Devil Realm are currently heading to the underworld to seek refuge, the Devil Realm is already a grasshopper on a rope. Even if the Devil Realm is going to perish, it will be after the underworld. Su Yun said indifferently, his voice was a little cold. Emoji Hua was startled. She understood that Su Yun had heard the hidden meaning in her words. She hesitated for a moment, but in the end, she still opened her mouth and said, Since you have made it clear, then I will also make it clear. I came to the Fire Heart Realm this time, hoping to use this Flame Heart Sacred Fire to recast the true fire sword in my hand. It was damaged in a battle with others half a year ago, and more than half of its spirit aura was scattered. I heard that the Flame Heart Sacred Fire could help it regenerate, so I came here, but I have encountered some trouble. If the true fire sword is not recast in time, the spirit aura inside the sword body will disappear. This sword was passed down to me by my mother. I cannot let it die just like that. So, Su Yun, you are called Su Yun, right? If you can help me recast the true fire sword, I will bring you to my master. How about it? Recast? Su Yun frowned. I am not someone from the underworld, and my teacher has some conflicts with the underworld. If I don't tell my teacher about this, he won't blame me. Su Yun, although I will bear the blame, I don't care. I only want my true fire sword to be preserved. Emoji Hua said seriously. Hearing that, Su Yun hesitated. After a long while, he turned his head to look at Octagon Aniseed, who nodded. Seeing that, Su Yun did not make any more sounds. After a long time. All right, I agree to your request. I will do my best to help you. However, I can only do what I can. If your request is too excessive, I will reject it. Su Yun said. Emoji Hua nodded his head. Don't worry, it's just that it's a little complicated, but it won't be difficult. With that, Emoji Hua walked to the side of the magma pool, moved his finger, and shot out a strand of immortal chi, striking into the magma pool. A whirlpool immediately appeared on the bubbling magma pool. The whirlpool spun faster and faster, and in the center of the whirlpool, An extremely agile chi leaked out. Su Yun looked over, his eyes flashing with a strange light. So it turned out that at the bottom of the magma pool, there was a spirit stone that had been tempered. The spirit stone had already been processed, and there was a blazing imprint on the surface of the spirit stone. It was this imprint that drew out all the spirit energy from the spirit stone. The spirit stone was locked onto by Mo Hua, and under the pull of her immortal chi, it slowly floated out of the magma pool. The spirit stone was incomparably red, like a piece of red-hot iron. It slowly flew over and landed in Mo Hua's palm, a wave of aura circling around the stone, rendering it extremely lively. This is a recast spirit stone. It requires the flame heart sacred fire to completely fuse the spiritual essence imprint on its surface. Once the recast spirit stone is completely formed, it can be used to recast the true fire sword's spirituality. The recast spirit stone will be formed in another day. It's just that I've met with some problems. Mo Hua looked at the thick magma, her eyes filled with a trace of helplessness. This Flame Heart clan's sacred land is actually the heart of the Flame Heart realm. The reason why the Flame Heart realm is so hot is because of the Flame Heart stone in the center of the Flame Heart realm. The temperature of the Flame Heart stone is the highest in the myriad of worlds. It created the Flame Heart realm, and the recast spirit stone's formation also relies on the temperature of the Flame Heart stone. This magma pool is filled with the divine fire of the Flame Heart stone, but because the spirit stone needs to absorb the divine fire to form, so the power of the divine fire in the magma pool is rapidly decreasing. Originally, according to common sense, the divine fire should once again overflow from the Flame Heart stone, but for some reason, I haven't seen the power of the divine fire in this period of time, and the temperature of the magma pool is constantly dropping. Even the Flame Heart realm is the same. I'm thinking if something happened to the Flame Heart stone, and if something happened to the Flame Heart stone, it can no longer release any more power of the divine fire, and I won't be able to successfully recast the true fire sword. Then what do you want me to do? I went down to investigate before, but when I got close to the Flame Heart stone, I was unable to withstand the temperature, so I was unable to get too close. However, I saw that the Flame Heart stone was dim, and its originally round surface seemed to have a big bump. I don't know what happened, so I hope that you can follow me down to investigate. If the investigation is fruitless and I don't know the reason, then I will give up. I will fulfill my promise and immediately report the matter of the underworld to my teacher, and ask him to quickly return to the underworld. If I find the reason, but am unable to solve it, I can give up. I won't waste too much time, and I won't force you. What do you think? Mo Hua's eyes were filled with sincerity. It seemed like she really wanted to repair her treasured sword. Otherwise, with her previous attitude towards Su Yun, she would not be like this. Su Yun thought for a moment, then nodded. Since that's the case, all right, let's go down and see how the Flame Heart stone is. Since he was already here, he didn't care about such a small matter. Yes. Mo Hua was overjoyed and immediately nodded. Su Yun turned his head and looked at Chi. Wait for me here, it shouldn't be too long. Demon Lord, be careful. Don't worry, it should be fine. Su Yun said, then walked towards the magma pool. Mo Hua immediately followed. The two of them stood at the side of the magma pool, activated their immortal chi, wrapped around their bodies, and then directly jumped down. Plop! Plop! 2 lava flowers appeared, and then the two of them disappeared. Chi stood at the side and watched quietly, while the Flame Heart clan people in the distance were already crying out in alarm. Chapter 12:12. To Su Yun, the temperature in the magma pool was like a hot spring. The temperature here was only about 10 times higher than the temperature outside, but as he continued to move downwards, the temperature was also rising rapidly. Su Yun continued to extend downwards, and the temperature also rose rapidly. When he reached a depth of nearly 1,000 meters, The temperature was already 1,000 times higher than the outer layer. At this time, even Su Yun could not completely ignore it. The two of them activated their immortal qi and circulated it around the surface of their skin to resist the blazing heat. As they went deeper and deeper, the temperature became more and more unbearable. "We're about to reach the location of the flame heart stone." Just then, Emoji Hua, who was beside Su Yun, suddenly spoke up. Su Yun squinted his eyes and looked down. His surroundings were completely red, and even if he were to transmit his voice here, without using immortal qi, he would not be able to do so. After continuing down for about half an incense stick of time, Su Yun no longer knew how deep he was. In his line of sight, within the red light, a huge and darker round shadow appeared. This round shadow was exceptionally round, like a round stone created by a skilled craftsman. Su Yun stared at the round shadow and frowned. Even with a glance, he could feel the waves of heat coming from the round shadow. "This is the flame heart stone." Emoji Hua spoke out again, but at this moment, her voice was extremely weak. Su Yun turned his head to look, and discovered that her face was flushed red, her eyes were red, and her breathing had become extremely hurried. Su Yun's finger moved slightly, activating the imperial battle robe on his body. In an instant, the flame qi around him was dispersed, and a vacuum immediately appeared around him. "Come here," Su Yun bellowed. "What for?" Emoji Hua asked weakly. "Just come over." Su Yun bellowed, he was too lazy to explain. Emoji Hua hesitated for a moment, but at this time, she could not care too much. She moved her weak body towards Su Yun, and when she got close to Su Yun, she was surprised to discover that there was no temperature around Su Yun, and a cool feeling that she had not felt for a long time assaulted her entire body. This feeling was extremely comfortable. Immediately, she understood Su Yun's meaning, let go of her worries, and directly got closer to Su Yun. Don't get so close, ugh, I'm sorry." Emoji Hua seemed to have become dizzy from the refreshing feeling, to the point that she almost fell into Su Yun's embrace. When she reacted, she moved to the side as though she had been catapulted. Her delicate and pretty face that had just faded immediately turned red again. Su Yun did not mind. He turned his head to look at the round figure in the distance and said indifferently, "Is this the flame heart stone?" "I estimate that this place should be around 1,000 miles away from the flame heart stone. However, from the previous situation, for every mile we advance, the temperature will increase by 100 times. In other words, the surface of the flame heart stone that we are approaching is 100,000 times the current temperature. I'm afraid that even I would find it hard to endure this kind of temperature. We are unable to approach it, so investigating it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens." Is that so?" Emoji Hua gently bit her lips and her eyes flashed with a deep sense of loss. She stared at the flame heartstone in the distance, and did not speak for a long time. Su Yun looked at her strangely. "Is this sword very important to you?" This is the only thing that my mother left for me," Emoji Hua said softly, her eyes flashing with traces of light. "Ever since I was born, I did not know what my father looked like. My mother said that my father was an almighty being that could see through the heavens and earth. Even the high and mighty immortals would respect and fear him. But who my father was, she never told me. She only said that my father had something important to do, and after he was done, he would definitely come and find us. But even until my mother fell sick from longing and died, my father did not appear. My mother said that as long as I have this sword, one day I will find my father. So, I must keep this sword. This is not only the only thing that my mother left for me, it is also the only thing that allows me to find my father. I must find my father and ask him properly. All these years, where has he been and what has he been doing? Why did he abandon my mother? What exactly did he do for him to not care about my mother's life?" Speaking till here, Emoji Hua was a little agitated and her voice trembled. Su Yun stared at her for a long while, then slowly opened his mouth. Before you find out the truth, don't make wild guesses. Maybe your father is wrong, or maybe he has his own difficulties. Since this item is so important to you, you should do your best to keep it. But now we can't get close to the flame heartstone, so how can we find out why it does not produce divine flame chi? And, even if we find out the reason, I'm afraid it will be extremely difficult. Su Yun, forget it, I'll think of other ways. Let's go and find my teacher first. Maybe he has a way to restore my true fire sword. Emo Jihua said softly. If you don't even try, why are you giving up? Furthermore, can your true fire sword really last that long? Su Yun retorted. Emo Jihua opened her mouth and looked at Su Yun in astonishment. Just then, Su Yun suddenly pulled her hand and rushed forward. Emo Jihua was dumbstruck. When she reacted, she anxiously activated her immortal chi and prepared to protect her body. But just as she activated her immortal chi, she was surprised to find that there was no flame chi invading her body. It was still cool and refreshing. She turned her head and was surprised to see Su Yun. Only then did she see that the man beside her was staring at the front with all his attention. His body was constantly releasing waves of mystical chi, directly smashing through the magma and completely dispersing the flame chi. His cultivation base should be lower than mine. Why is he so strong? Emo Jihua could not understand, but she knew that even if Su Yun was stronger than her, he was not that much stronger. After all, Su Yun's expression was not relaxed. He seemed to be forcefully rushing forward. Why did he have to fight so hard? There was no need at all. I had already promised him to find Master. Emo Jihua felt complicated. But, was it really useful to forcefully rush towards the flame heartstone? Su Yun's speed was not slow, and very quickly, he advanced a few hundred li. The temperature here was already terrifyingly high. He clenched his teeth and continued to move forward, while Emo Jihua, who was beside him, was not affected by the flame chi at all. She advanced forward under Su Yun's protection. In fact, Emo Jihua did not know that the reason why Su Yun was able to travel through the blazing lava so easily was all because of the imperial battle robe on his body. Su Yun's serious expression was not because he had used too much chi, on the contrary, the immortal chi in his body was already at its peak, and at this time, there was not a single part of Su Yun's body that was not filled with immortal chi. All of this was caused by the god power of the imperial battle robe. He used the god power of the imperial battle robe to absorb the flame chi around him, but he did not expect that the flame chi could actually be converted into immortal chi for his use. Although the amount of conversion was very small, there were too many flame chi around him, and with the continuous activation of the god power, the amount of immortal chi that was converted into his body was already an extremely terrifying amount, and Su Yun felt that he could not hold on for much longer. He really wanted to withdraw his divine power and use the immortal chi to protect himself, but at this point, it was simply unrealistic to rely on the immortal chi to offset the surrounding flame chi. Forget it, I should be able to hold on for a while longer. Su Yun took a deep breath, his face becoming redder and redder. He stared ahead and continued to move forward. We're already halfway there. Emo Jihua shouted. Su Yun did not say a word and continued to stare ahead. At this moment, the flame heart stone in front of him had become incomparably huge. Its diameter should be a few miles, like a meteorite. Its surface was extremely smooth. It was dark red in color, and thin and long lines covered the surface of the flame heart stone, but in the center of the flame heart stone, there was a small hill that was about 10 meters long. Su Yun stared at the small hill and asked, "Was there this before? When I first came here, I didn't see this thing. It wasn't until I threw in the recast spirit stone that this small hill appeared. I was actually suspecting that this thing was created because of the recast spirit stone." Emo Jihua turned her head to look at Su Yun, her voice becoming gentle. "Su Yun, can you still hold on? No problem. Su Yun took a deep breath and said, "Let's go over and take a look." This, Emojihua wanted to say something, but Su Yun pulled her hand again and moved forward. At the moment, Su Yun's skin was no longer red, but snow-white, and his body was glowing with a lustrous light. Emojihua, who was at the side, saw the change and was secretly shocked. She could feel the immortal qi in Su Yun's body that was about to overflow. Why is his immortal qi getting stronger and stronger? But the immortal qi was strong, and Su Yun was extremely weak. He once again advanced forward for a few kilometers, but he slowed down, gasping for breath. They were only about 100 kilometers away from the Flame Heart Stone, and with their eyesight, under the magma, it was not difficult to see the Flame Heart Stone clearly. The small hill on the surface of the Flame Heart Stone seemed to be more like an egg, and it was still gently wriggling. There were a few cracks on the small hill, and inside the cracks it was pitch black, and no one knew what was inside. If the Flame Heart Stone was an inanimate object, then maybe this was just an impurity, but such a mystical stone, more or less, should have some other kind of energy. Emojihua looked for a while, then shook her head. "I can't see any clues. The energy of the Flame Heart Stone is too complicated. If I just rely on my eyesight, I won't be able to find any clues." "Then let's try and see what happens when we attack it," Su Yun said. "Attack?" Emojihua was shocked. In the last 100 kilometers, the temperature of the Flame Heart Stone is terrifyingly high. I'm afraid that only a peak spirit god realm existence can ignore it. If we go over, it would be seeking death, not to mention attacking. No matter if you use sword chi or immortal chi, I'm afraid you won't be able to touch the Flame Heart Stone, right? That might not be the case. Su Yun suddenly took out the dual moon sword and stared at the Flame Heart Stone. His hands gripped the sword hilt tightly, his eyes were extremely sharp, and the lustrous light aura around his body was like an electric current directly converging towards the dual moon sword. In that moment, the dual moon sword's body released an unparalleled powerful sword intent. Crazy. Too crazy. The sword intent condensed from immortal qi. It was simply speechless. The immortal qi was strong, although it was not as strong as the Imperial Underworld sword, but the density of the immortal qi, even the Imperial Underworld sword could not compare to it. Emojihua, who was at the side, was dumbstruck. This energy. If she was fighting with Su Yun previously, he would be able to release such a dense sword intent, and she would not be able to withstand it. This guy. Just what cultivation level was he at? Could it be that my judgment was wrong? His cultivation base is above mine? Emojihua thought in her heart. Chapter 12-13. Wung. The dual moon sword's blade trembled crazily, as though it would break at any moment. The sword's body released a dazzling light that was as bright as the moon. Even the surrounding rock light could not compare to it. Such a dazzling halo, how much immortal qi did he need to inject to achieve it? Emojihua, who did not know the reason, felt her heart beating crazily. This guy, just how much immortal qi was hidden in his body? Whoosh! Just then, Su Yun released the qi from the sword. The instant the edge of the sword fell, all of the qi within the sword was like a pillar of light that shot out and madly rushed towards the protrusion in the middle of the Flame Heart Stone. All the magma along the way was pushed away. Ripples appeared around the Flame Heart Stone, as though the entire magma pool was trembling. Emojihua's eyes widened as she looked at the light beam. She knew that she could not release such a terrifying attack. But then, dong! A loud sound exploded as the light beam struck the hill. The entire magma pool was boiling, and the hill was blasted open by Su Yun. The Flame Heart Stone's spirit fire aura could not be produced. Ignoring the fact that its destruction would cause the Flame Heart realm to disappear, it was no longer of any value to Emojihua. If the Flame Heart Stone lost its original meaning, then it was no different from an ordinary stone. But Su Yun did not believe that the Flame Heart Stone would suddenly become a useless stone. Maybe it had something to do with Emojihua's previous actions. This attack naturally could not destroy the flame heartstone, but it could be used as a test, just like striking a brick to bite gold. The dense immortal chi formed sword chi fiercely smashed onto the flame heartstone, as though it was undergoing a baptism. After about 5 breaths of time, the sword chi disappeared, and the hill that was struck by the sword chi also caved in a little. Then, the flame heartstone was still extremely calm, as though nothing had happened. Emojihua stared blankly, and after a long while, she sighed helplessly. What kind of stone is this flame heartstone? We have no idea. Now that it is no longer producing energy, we can't do anything. Su Yun, let's go. Emojihua had already decided to give up. Seeing that, Su Yun did not persist any further. After the attack, there were no strange phenomena, and there were not even many places that were damaged, so Su Yun had no choice, because there were no clues for the two of them to search for. Even so, the two of them had no way to start. The attack just now had caused Su Yun to release more than half of the immortal chi in his body, but in the time it took for him to speak, the divine power of the imperial battle robe had absorbed a large amount of immortal chi for him, causing the immortal chi in his body to be filled up once again. The flame chi here was too strong. It was able to quickly replenish the immortal chi that Su Yun had consumed in a short period of time, and if he continued forward, the temperature there would probably make him instantly return. Although Su Yun's body was strong, it was impossible for him to withstand such a strong replenishment of immortal chi, but if he were to turn off the divine power of the imperial battle robe, and no longer use the flame chi to transform into immortal chi, then he and Emojihua would probably not be able to leave this pool of magma. Gulp gulp gulp. Just at this time, a weird sound suddenly entered Su Yun and Emojihua's ears. The two of them looked towards the direction of the sound and realized that the sound actually came from the flame heartstone. More accurately, it came from the small hill on top of the flame heartstone. The hill jumped for a moment and then, a large amount of flame-like gas spewed out from within. The color of the flame was even deeper than the magma, and after the gas appeared, the patterns on the surface of the flame heart stone suddenly flickered. Su Yun and Emojihua were startled, their eyes wide open as they looked at the bulging hill. Gulp gulp gulp. Just then, the hill had another strange phenomenon. The gas was like a tongue of fire continuously spitting out from the crack. Following the spitting of the tongue of fire, the surrounding magma seemed to be under some kind of pressure, and with the flame heart stone as the center, it actually spread outwards. The magma squeezed the magma, and the color became deeper and deeper, while the surroundings of the flame heart stone slowly formed a vacuum zone. At the same time, the bulging hill also had a strange change. They could only see that the bulging area suddenly split open, like a blossoming flower. It was extremely gorgeous, and from the split, a pillar of fire shot out, directly rushing upwards, shooting out of the magma pool. The pillar of fire lasted for about 3 breaths of time before extinguishing. Then, from the split that had bloomed, there was a wriggling sound. Su Yun and Emojihua stared blankly at the split, only to see a fiery red hand suddenly extending out. That hand was slender, but the surface was covered with rough rocks, and it was extremely terrifying. This hand pressed against the split, and exerted a little force, as if it wanted to support its own body out. Very quickly, Su Yun and Emojihua saw a figure whose entire body seemed to be made out of rocks crawling out from inside. "Thank you so much, both of you." Before the man could even crawl out, a low laugh came out. Su Yun's face tensed up as he stared at the man. Very quickly, the man that looked like a statue crawled out from the crack. Su Yun did not know if it should be called a human. It was close to 3 meters tall, and there was not a trace of flesh or blood on its body, only rock, and there were hooked horns on its shoulders and palms. Its head was rather big, and there was no mouth or nose on its face, only a huge red eye, but this red eye was extremely awkward, as though it was made of rock. Seeing this guy appear, the two of them were dumbstruck. What was this? How did it come out from there? Holy devil fire! Su Yun, what kind of existence did you provoke this time? Why aren't you running? Just then, Ling Qingyu's anxious voice came out from the sword sheath behind Su Yun. Fire! Holy devil fire? Su Yun's heart trembled, his soul trembled. It had heard of this name before, in the True Devil sect, from the mouth of Octagon Aniseed, but that was only a myth that Octagon Aniseed had told Su Yun about the Devil Cultivator. It was just a legend. There was very little information about the Holy Devil Fire, and many people even thought that the Holy Devil Fire did not exist. But Su Yun never thought that in the center of the Fire Heart Realm, in the Fire Heart Realm, there would actually be such a legendary fellow. Qingyu, how do you know this guy is the Holy Devil Fire? Su Yun stared at the existence in the distance with his eyes wide open, and asked anxiously. If what Ling Qingyu said was true, then Su Yun could only escape. It was said that the Holy Devil Fire was one of the ancient fiendish demons. Its methods were brutal and extremely vicious. It hunted immortals for food, and killed for fun. No one knew where it came from or how it was born, because any realm it went to would turn into a sea of fire, a river of rocks, and be completely incinerated, no longer having any life left. Its flames could even overshadow the blazing sun, and it was the strongest fire in all realms. Su Yun, it can't be wrong, its appearance and state are exactly the same as described in the ancient books: rock skin, rock eyes, temperature covering the sun. Just based on this, you can determine that it is the Holy Devil Fire? Su Yun questioned. But Ling Qingyu did not explain, and only said in a low voice, "Just leave. Don't stay here any longer. Go. Go." In the past few years, Ling Qingyu would always remind Su Yun at the crucial moment, although Su Yun did not know why Ling Qingyu knew so much, but he knew that Ling Qingyu would definitely not harm him. Immediately, Su Yun turned and grabbed Emojihua's small hand, and rushed out of the lava pool. Huh? Why are you leaving? The Holy Devil Fire gasped, and suddenly raised his rock hands, and clasped them in front of him. While the lava in front of Su Yun suddenly started to churn crazily, the entire lava pool started to boil. Following that, a burst of force pushed the two of them back to the front of the Flame Heart Stone. The two of them were forcefully pushed in front of the Flame Heart Stone, and the intense temperature instantly filled Su Yun and Emojihua's body. Emojihua's condition was still alright, but Su Yun could not take it anymore. His body was like a light bulb that lit up. You seem to be quite interesting. The Holy Devil Fire swept a glance at Su Yun, and suddenly saw the painful expression on his face, and immediately revealed a look of realization, and immediately said, Sorry, I forgot, the two of you can't take this temperature, hee." The Holy Devil Fire said, and then suddenly waved his arm. In that instant, all of the magma and flame chi around Su Yun and Emojihua instantly disappeared. Su Yun was startled. Emojihua was also dumbstruck. The magma was like a living thing, squeezing out and forming a vacuum zone around the two of them. The scorching heat disappeared without a trace. Su Yun could no longer persevere, and immediately stopped the activation of the God Power, but the moment the God Power stopped, the halo on his body suddenly disappeared, and a burst of divine light shot out from the spirit altar, and a scene of everything appeared in his eyes, with the sun and moon alternating in front and behind him. His hands and feet formed a strange scene of mountains and rivers, and his entire being seemed to have become a world. Breakthrough? Seeing the scene that Su Yun revealed, Emojihua immediately exclaimed, Hee, what good fortune, to actually borrow my flame chi to break through. Not bad, it can be considered a blessing for you. On the other side, Holy Fiend Fire laughed sinisterly. Its voice was especially gloomy. Although its words were not scary, its voice and tone were especially cautious. Emojihua did not know what it was, but since Su Yun chose to run away when he saw it, then he was sure that Su Yun knew what it was, and that it was extremely powerful. However, this fellow did not attack them, so Emojihua did not attack, and was at a loss for what to do. Su Yun straightened his body. He had already entered a state of forcefully breaking through. The immortal chi was too abundant. He had no choice but to break through. This period of time was neither long nor short, it was only the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Very quickly, under all sorts of dazzling scenes, Su Yun's cultivation directly entered the 6th stage of the spirit profound God realm. As for the holy devil fire, he had been watching from the side, with no intention of making a move. Just as he was about to complete his breakthrough, the holy devil fire suddenly extended his hand, and his rock-like palm directly covered Su Yun's chest. A burst of flames shot out, covering Su Yun's chest, as though it was roasting his body. Seeing that, Emojihua could no longer hold it in, she directly raised her sword and rushed towards the holy devil fire. "What are you doing? Let him go!" she shouted, the tip of the true fire sword aimed at the holy devil fire. However, before her sword could get close, it was blocked by a strange flame chi, and the sword could not move forward at all. "Little girl, don't be agitated, I don't plan to hurt this child." The holy devil fire laughed, his voice still as strange as ever. Chapter 12-14. Emojihua clenched her teeth, she urged her strength, but to no avail. The other party was like a huge mountain, preventing her from advancing even half an inch. The holy demon flame did not seem to care about Emojihua, and continued to look at Su Yun. The flames in his palm actually spread all over Su Yun's body, and then quickly disappeared. What did you do?" Emojihua clenched her teeth. "Miss Emo, don't worry about me, this person did not intend to harm me." Just then, Su Yun suddenly opened his eyes and said while gasping for breath, "What do you mean?" Emojihua stared at Su Yun with her eyes wide open. Su Yun was unable to explain and closed his eyes again. The holy demon flame's huge eyes stared at Su Yun. Just like that, after half an incense stick of time, the flames in the holy demon flame's hands suddenly disappeared, and the abnormality on Su Yun's body also disappeared without a trace. Not long later, he returned to normal. When he opened his eyes again, the aura around his body had undergone an earth-shattering change, and was much denser than before. Emojihua's heart jumped. The feeling that Su Yun gave her was that his cultivation was clearly lower than hers, but she did not feel that he was weaker than her at all. "Su Yun, are you alright?" Emojihua asked carefully. "I'm fine." Su Yun took a deep breath and said slowly, "Not only am I fine, I'm also much better than before." What's going on?" Emojihua's head was filled with fog. It was probably not only her, even Ling Qinyu who was in the sword sheath was confused, and had no idea what was going on. "Miss Emo, you have misunderstood this senior. Actually, senior did not want to harm me just now, on the contrary, he was helping me break through better. The current me, not only did I successfully break through, I even obtained an even stronger boost after breaking through. This is all thanks to senior's help," Su Yun said. With that said, Emojihua immediately turned to look at the one-eyed monster, her face full of confusion. "Why?" "Because if not for the two of you, I'm afraid I would not have been able to successfully reincarnate, so the two of you are my benefactors." Holy Fiend Fire, who was at the side, laughed. His sinister laughter caused everyone to shiver. Reincarnation? Su Yun and Emojihua did not understand. "You might not know this, but 100,000 years ago, I traveled around the world and found a unique place. I wanted to make a breakthrough there, but it wasn't a wonderful place at all. It was a dangerous place that specifically countered me. I failed to break through and my body was destroyed, almost losing my life. Luckily, I was formed from a divine fire stone and had the ancient demon fire as my soul. As long as the demon fire didn't extinguish, I wouldn't die. Thus, I reincarnated in that dangerous place. After reincarnating, I was unable to break through this fire-stone rampart. This fire-stone rampart has trapped me for a total of 20,000 years. This fire-stone rampart was formed from my profound chi when I was reincarnated to prevent the power of my divine fire from leaking out. It's hard to destroy it from the inside, but it's easy to destroy it from the outside. I didn't have any hope and thought that I would be trapped here until you arrived. Only then could I see the light of day again, so you are my benefactors. When the two of them heard this, they were extremely stunned. They did not expect that this flame heart stone was actually a stone that was formed when this fellow reincarnated. Didn't that mean that the fire heart realm was formed because of it? Su Yun thought for a moment, then suddenly cupped his fists and asked, "Senior, are you the holy demon flame?" "Yes." The holy demon flame said straightforwardly. Hearing that, Su Yun was secretly shocked. Why is this holy demon flame different from the descriptions in the ancient books? Didn't the ancient books say that the holy demon flame was cruel, heartless, and vicious? No one can live for more than 3 breaths of time in its eyes. It is bloodthirsty. How can it be like this? Ling Qing Yu's muttering voice floated into Su Yun's ears. I also feel that something's wrong. It's completely different from what Octagon Aniseed said. Su Yun muttered in his heart. Young man, are you a devil cultivator? Just then, the holy demon flame suddenly spoke. Su Yun was startled for a moment, then shook his head, reporting to Senior, I am not a devil cultivator, but I belong to the true devil realm. Not a devil cultivator? The holy demon flame suddenly laughed. Brat, the blood flowing in your body is the blood of a devil cultivator. How can you not be a devil cultivator? Don't lie to me. This. Su Yun frowned. He did not know how to explain it to the holy demon flame. The holy demon flame suddenly lowered his head and carefully circled around Su Yun, then suddenly laughed. But then again, brat, your demon blood is not ordinary. Are you the reincarnation of someone? Reincarnation. I keep having the feeling that your body and your blood are not one. Could it be that I'm mistaken? Hearing that, Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then said, Senior, to be honest, actually, this body of blood of mine is not something I was born with, but something I changed later on. Later on? The holy demon flame revealed a shocked expression. Yes, it's just that. Su Yun did not know how to explain it. The blood exchange was done in his previous life, so why did he still have this body of demon blood in this life? What the hell was going on? Could it be that it wasn't his soul that had been reborn, but even his body had been reborn? His rebirth was already ridiculous enough. Could it be Su Yun felt that his thoughts were in a mess? It seems like you have obtained good fortune. I wonder what kind of good fortune it is. However, it's good that you don't know. If others knew that you have this body of demon blood, it would be troublesome. The holy demon flame said with a smile. From the looks of it, he did not plan to tell Su Yun whose demon blood it was. Su Yun. Just then, Emojihua, who was at the side, suddenly pulled Su Yun carefully and used the immortal chi to send a sound transmission to Su Yun. Su Yun, hurry up and leave. If this guy is really the holy demon flame, then we will lose our lives at any time. It has just come out, so it must be in a good mood. After a while, when its mood is bad, it will return to its previous state of being bloodthirsty and slaughtering people. We will be finished. Girl, what are you talking about? Who is bloodthirsty? Who would want to kill the living? Holy Fiend Fire was pissed off. That huge eye of his curled up in a displeased manner. Emojihua was shocked. His entire body trembled. A fellow that had existed 100,000 years ago, what kind of cultivation would he have now? This was a fellow that he didn't even dare to think about. Little girl, tell me, who was it that ruined my reputation? You said that I am bloodthirsty? The holy demon flame seemed to have a stubborn temper. His voice was rather loud, no longer as gloomy as before. Emojihua became more and more afraid. Seeing that, Su Yun cupped his fists and said, Senior, please calm your anger. This is not us slandering you, it is just that Senior has been missing for a long time, and the matters regarding Senior have been passed down by word of mouth for a long time, which is why it is like this. If we have offended Senior, please forgive us. Hearing that, the holy demon flame snorted. The people of the world are foolish to actually ruin my reputation like this. It is extremely laughable. Forget it, forget it. It does not matter if the people of the world do not understand me. I do not care about this. Being free and unfettered is what I want to pursue. Saying that, the holy demon flame suddenly leaped up, and a burst of force dragged Su Yun and Mo Jihua towards the magma pool above. In the blink of an eye, the two of them left the magma pool and flew to the ground. Cries of alarm came from all directions. They were the voices of the Flame Heart clan. In the distance, Octagon Aniseed, who was staring intently at the magma pool, saw the two people rushing out. He was first happy, then shocked, and then his face was filled with vigilance. When the two of them landed, the holy demon flame also landed. It looked around and squinted its eyes. What's going on? Is this the world I was in before? How did it become like this? When Senior was reincarnated, the divine fire aura in your body continuously overflowed. I'm afraid it was because of your aura that caused this realm to become like this. Su Yun said, right now the entire realm is like a huge furnace. Other than these creatures that were formed because of this special realm, there are no other creatures. Su Yun pointed to the Flame Heart clan people and said, if the Fire Heart realm was formed because of the Flame Heart Stone, then without a doubt, it was the holy demon flame that caused this realm to become like this. After all, the entire Fire Heart realm was born with the Flame Heart Stone as the center. If not for the Flame Heart Stone, the Fire Heart realm would not have become like this. But who would have thought that the so-called Flame Heart Stone was actually the legendary Holy Demon Flame? The Holy Demon Flame was silent for a long time before saying, I really didn't expect that I would destroy a realm unknowingly. Hearing the Holy Demon Flame's words, could it be that it had never done such a thing before? Was the legend really just a rumor? It wasn't real? Su Yun thought. The Holy Demon Flame was silent for a moment, then took out a small fiery red stone from somewhere, passed it to Su Yun, and said, Brat, since you saved me from the cage, then, you are my benefactor. Although I am a stone, I still have a personality. Furthermore, you have the blood of the devil cultivator, so you are my junior, and since you are my junior, I have to protect you. This stone is my heart source stone. It is a stone that grows in the center of me. If you are in danger in the future, you can use this stone to inform me. The Holy Demon Flame handed the stone over. Su Yun took it and held it in his hand. It felt warm, as if he was holding a warm water bag. Thank you, Senior. He hurriedly bowed. At this moment, he suddenly thought of something and quickly said, Senior, there is one more thing I need your help with. What is it? Just say it. The Holy Demon Flame said. It's about a sword. Su Yun turned to look at Mo Jihua. Chapter 12-15. After hearing Su Yun's explanation, Holy Demon Fire immediately laughed heartily, although his laughter sounded especially cold in the ears of others. I was wondering what it was, so that's how it is. Don't worry, this small matter is nothing. I will help you refine this sword. After saying that, Holy Demon Fire extended his hand. Hearing that, Mo Jihua was still in a daze, and could not regain her senses. Only when Su Yun called out to her twice did she immediately wake up. Her entire body trembled, and she anxiously took out the true fire sword, and at the same time she anxiously said, Thank you, Senior, thank you, Senior. Holy Demon Fire took the true fire sword and looked at it carefully. His hand that was like a stone striking the sword knocked on the body of the true fire sword, and said, This sword's quality is not bad, it's a pity that it has lost its spirituality, and can only be said to be an ordinary sword. If I want to refine it, just relying on my divine flame is not enough, I still need some materials. Materials? Yes, Yes. Emojihua reacted and immediately took out a large pile of materials from her space bag. After taking a closer look, she realized that they were all materials that she had prepared beforehand. Holy Demon Fire roughly scanned through them and nodded. Although these materials are of inferior quality, they are the materials that can be used to reforge this weapon. Girl, let me ask you, if you use these materials to reforge this sword, although it can return to its spirit sword state, even if it becomes a spirit sword, it will only be an ordinary spirit sword. However, if you reforge it according to the materials that I have gathered for you, it can help you forge this true fire sword into an incredible divine sword. Think about it, do you really want to reforge it like this? Hearing that, Emojihua's heart thumped. Divine sword? The words of a person like Holy Demon Fire would definitely not be wrong. If he said that he could forge a divine sword, there must be a way. However, after Emojihua heard this, although she was tempted, she did not immediately answer Holy Demon Fire. Instead, she hesitated for a long time, then shook her head and said, "No, Senior, let's reforge it according to these materials." Girl, don't think that the materials I have listed are difficult to obtain. With this kid's ability, gathering those materials is as easy as flipping his hand. Don't you want to think about it? This sword is a good seedling. If it is forged properly, it will definitely become a famous sword. Holy Fiend Fire said. However, Emojihua still shook his head. No, Senior, let's just leave it like this. I hope that this sword can retain its original appearance. Although it is my sword, it is also a relic left to me by my mother. I don't want it to change its appearance. That will diminish my longing for my mother, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to find my father again. What are you talking about? Don't tell me that your longing for your mother is dependent on an external object? Holy Fiend Fire harumphed. Emojihua stared blankly for a moment, then smiled bitterly and said, "Senior is right, it is this junior's misunderstanding. Forget it, forget it. Since you're unwilling, then forget it. Hand it over, I'll recast it for you." "Thank you, Senior," Emojihua said excitedly. After placing the materials on the ground, Holy Demon Fire took the true fire sword and said, "All of you can leave. Wait for me outside. The temperature here will rise very high. I'm afraid you won't be able to take it." "Yes." Su Yun nodded and bowed to the Holy Demon Fire Saint Demon with Emojihua before leaving. "All of you leave as well." Holy Demon Fire Saint Demon Fire shouted at the Flame Heart Clan members who were still watching. The Flame Heart Clan members were shocked, but they did not dare to go against the Holy Demon Fire Saint Demon Fire's wishes, and immediately left the Flame Heart Clan's sacred grounds. Su Yun and Emojihua left the sacred grounds and waited outside. At that moment, Emojihua's expression was extremely excited. The true fire sword being able to recover to its spirit sword state was extremely meaningful to her. "Su Yun, thank you so much this time." Emojihua seemed to have just reacted. She immediately turned her head and said happily to Su Yun, "When the true fire sword is successfully restored, I'll immediately bring you to find Master and ask him to immediately return to the underworld to save the underworld from danger." The current Emojihua was much more enthusiastic than when Su Yun first met her. When they first met, she had a rude and overbearing attitude, but people were all like this. The first time they met, the second time they became familiar. "No rush." Su Yun smiled. "When the true fire sword is successfully recast, I still have something to ask this Holy Demon Fire Saint Demon Fire." "What is it?" Emojihua asked in confusion. Su Yun smiled, but did not say anything. "Why are you keeping me in suspense?" Emojihua was a little angry. Su Yun glanced at her, and realized that the lady was quite good-looking. "Hey, what are you looking at?" Emojihua frowned and asked directly. "Nothing much." Su Yun did not feel embarrassed, and directly changed the topic. "How long has Miss Emo been following Senior Imperial Underworld Sword?" "I don't remember." Emojihua shook her head. When Mother was still alive, I was found by Master, and said that he wanted to teach me the strongest sword technique, and Mother also agreed. After Mother passed away, I followed Master, but Master's whereabouts are erratic, and I can only see Master for 2 or 3 days out of 10. He has always been pursuing the way of the sword, searching everywhere for sword technique experts to challenge, searching for the ruins of the ancestors, and thinking hard about the peak of the sword. In his entire life, he felt that the most worthy existence to challenge and defeat was the limitless sword ancestor, and Master once told me about the rumors about the sword ancestor. Back then, the limitless sword ancestor relied on the supreme limitless sword art to sweep through the 10,000 worlds, and was independent of the immortal world. Countless immortals in the immortal world wanted to challenge him, but were all defeated by him. The limitless sword art is known as the peak of the immortal world's sword techniques, and until now, there has not been any sword techniques that can surpass it. Master is not convinced, so he wants to use the Imperial Underworld sword art to challenge the limitless sword art and defeat the sword ancestor. I believe that Master will definitely be able to do it, but all these years, the sword ancestor has disappeared, and Master has bitterly searched for the whereabouts of the sword ancestor, but to no avail. Recently, Master found out that the sword ancestor has appeared in the Wanhua realm, so he should be in the Wanhua realm right now. Wanhua realm. Su Yun frowned. How long ago did this happen? Although this Imperial Ming sword was powerful, it was not well informed at all. Su Yun, since you are the descendant of the sword ancestor, then you must know where the sword ancestor is, right? Although I know this is not good, but Master really wants to spar with the sword ancestor in sword arts, to determine who is stronger. Su Yun, if you see Master, please agree to Master's request, and meet with the sword ancestor to determine who is stronger, okay? Emoji Hua looked at Su Yun earnestly. However, Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. I'm afraid that won't do. Why? The current sword ancestor is no longer the sword ancestor of the past. The current sword ancestor is no longer able to fight with the Imperial Ming sword. His soul has been scattered, and his strength is not even a tenth of his previous strength. Before he recovers to his peak state, he is unable to challenge others, so it is not possible. Furthermore, Senior Imperial Ming sword should not take advantage of the situation and request to challenge my master ancestor at this time, right? Su Yun asked. Hearing that, Emoji Hua nodded and sighed helplessly. Crash. At this time, the gigantic volcano spat out waves of dark yellow mist. The moment the mist appeared, the surroundings became extremely hot, and the temperature of the entire Flame Heart realm rose rapidly. The people of the Flame Heart clan around the volcano all raised their hands high and cheered loudly. They all danced happily, as if the higher the temperature, the happier they would be. Su Yun and Emoji Hua stood up and turned to look, only to see a figure flying out from the mouth of the volcano. It was the Holy Devil Fire, and in its hand there was a fiery red sharp sword. The sword body was covered in flames, and after a while it disappeared. Damn, the true fire sword! Emoji Hua became even more excited. When the people of the Flame Heart clan saw the holy demon fire flying out, they all knelt down and shouted loudly. The holy demon fire jumped down and landed beside Emoji Hua, handing over the true fire sword. Thank you, Senior. Emoji Hua excitedly received the true fire sword, his fingers gently caressing the sword's body. At this time, rows of resolute words appeared on the sword's body, as though they were written by a man with immortal chi. May I be like the stars, like the moon, forever hoping for the bright moon. Only this star, reflecting the heavens and earth forever, and its brilliance will never fade. This is? Su Yun looked at the words on the sword and asked in shock. This is what my father wrote to my mother. Emoji Hua said softly. Only a spirit sword can activate the seal formation left inside and reveal these words. So that's how it is. Su Yun suddenly understood. Don't you think these feelings and love are troublesome? The holy demon fire waved his hand. All right, if the two of you have nothing else, then leave this place. I still have some things to take care of. Although I've escaped, I still have a lot of things to do. Senior, are you very busy? Su Yun asked. No, it's just that I want to help my children improve their skills. The holy demon fire said to all the kneeling flame heart race people. These fellows were born from the divine fire aura that overflowed from me, and can be considered my descendants, so I plan to teach them some methods to protect themselves, so that they won't be destroyed by other powerful immortals. So that's how it is, but Senior, the people of the Fire Heart Realm are your juniors. Then may I ask, what is the relationship between the true Devil Realm and Senior? Su Yun took the opportunity to ask. What are you saying? I was born from a devil soul, and I am also considered a devil cultivator. What do you think the devil cultivator of the true Devil Realm has to do with me? The holy demon fire said. But, Senior, the current true Devil Realm has already welcomed a calamity. Su Yun sighed. Calamity? The holy demon fire squinted his huge eyes, stared at Su Yun, and said, Brat, tell me, what exactly is going on? Who is so bold to destroy my devil cultivator? Seeing that, Su Yun immediately called out, Who else could it be? It's the immortal world. Chapter 12:16. What a bunch of bastards! After hearing Su Yun's description, the holy demon fire was enraged. With a stomp of his foot, the entire flame heart realm started to tremble. This group of immortals simply do not know what's good for them. My true devil realm is no longer a threat to them, yet they still want to kill them all, and even chase them all the way to the underworld. These fellows are ambitious, they clearly want to rule the entire myriad heavens realm, damn it! The holy demon fire squinted his eyes, his huge pupils trembling. His rock-like skin was also incomparably red. This time, he was obviously extremely angry. Su Yun cupped his fists. Senior, please come out of the mountain and help the true Devil Realm overcome this crisis. When Octagon Aniseed, who had been waiting in the distance, heard Su Yun's words, he was extremely happy. He never thought that Su Yun would actually take the opportunity to invite such a supreme expert over. If this supreme expert were to appear, then even if the true Devil Realm was in the underworld, he would at least have the right to speak. However, the holy demon fire did not straightforwardly answer Su Yun's request. It thought for a moment, then said, When the demon realm is in danger, I will not ignore it, but I have just reincarnated, and my condition has not recovered to its peak. It is not a problem to deal with ordinary trash, but if I meet an opponent of equal strength, I am afraid it will not be easy. Brat, how about this? Didn't I give you a stone before? I will first recover my strength in the Flame Heart Realm. I have roughly estimated that it will take about a month. You can return to the underworld now, and if you encounter anything that you cannot solve, you can use the Heart Stone to inform me. I will rush to the underworld within a day to help you, do you understand? Alright. Su Yun was overjoyed, and immediately replied, I believe that the Devil Cultivator of the true Devil Realm will greet you with the highest respect. As a fellow Devil Cultivator, I don't care about these things. The holy demon fire waved his hand and said, If there's nothing else, you should leave quickly. I also need to start making my preparations. Alright, then this junior will not disturb senior any longer. Su Yun cupped his fists again, gave Emoji Hua a look, and the two of them walked towards Octagon Aniseed. The three of them bowed again, and then directly left the Flame Heart Realm. After exiting the Fire Heart Realm, the two of them landed at the mouth of an extremely hot volcano in the ultimate martial world. This trip caused the three of them to be extremely emotional, especially Emoji Hua, who felt that everything was extremely unreal, and Su Yun had also gained a lot from this trip. Not only had his cultivation broken through, the immortal chi in his body had also been amplified by the Fire Holy Devil, becoming even stronger. Demon Lord, what should we do now? He asked Su Yun, who was beside him. Octagon Aniseed, quickly return to the underworld and preside over the matters there. Observe the movements of the immortal court army and the gate to the underworld. If there is any movement, immediately send someone to inform me. I will go to the Wanhua realm with Miss Emo now. Are you going to find the Imperial Underworld sword? Octagon Aniseed asked. Yes. Su Yun nodded his head. Although I have already obtained the help of the Holy Demon Fire, it is still far from enough. I still need to invite the Imperial Ming sword to resolve this crisis. Su Yun said. All right then. Octagon Aniseed nodded. Demon Lord, be careful. I will return to the underworld now. Yes. Su Yun nodded, and the two of them parted. Su Yun and Emo Jihua immediately headed towards the ultimate martial sacred plane, heading towards the Wanhua realm. After passing by the sacred plane, Su Yun still stopped and chose to go to the master's place to take a look. After a long time, he came to the sacred plane, hoping that the master would not blame him. What surprised Su Yun the most was that Emo Jihua had actually heard of the great name of the master Subhoodie. It turned out that she was originally from the ultimate martial world, and after becoming a disciple of the Imperial Underworld Sword, she cultivated the Nether Chi and practiced the Imperial Underworld Sword. Su Yun had once asked her why the Imperial Underworld Sword did not choose the Nether Realm as its successor, but the answer Emo Jihua gave him left Su Yun speechless. The people in the Underworld were not Nether Realm, and there were no Nether Realm people in this world, because the entire Underworld was actually formed by people from all over the world. It was like a big fish pond with fish and dragons mixed together, and it was impossible to tell who was who. The Master Subhoodie was safe and sound, which made Su Yun feel a lot more at ease. After adding some pills, Su Yun and Emo Jihua entered the Wanhua realm. But this time, what surprised Su Yun was that the gate to the Wanhua realm, which was strictly guarded by a large number of experts in the past, was only guarded by 2 people. Furthermore, from the expressions of the guards, something seemed to have happened to the Wanhua realm. After entering the realm gate, there were no longer any troops inside, but not long after he entered, he saw Prime Minister Rong Myuk flying over. Rong Myuk seemed to have known that Su Yun would come, and immediately cupped his fists on the ground. Lord Su has come to the Wanhua realm. We are truly honored. Lord Su, please follow me. Realm Master has already prepared a banquet to invite Lord Su, and has already sent people to the Linglong Mountain to inform Lord Imperial Underworld Sword, inviting him to come to the Realm Tree to meet. Hearing that, Su Yun was shocked. Realm Master knows everything? It can't be considered as knowing everything. It can only be said to be peering into the hole. Rong Myuk said respectfully. Su Yun frowned. After thinking for a while, he nodded. All right, I'll have to trouble Prime Minister Rong to lead the way. Please follow me. With that, Rong Myuk flew towards the realm tree. On the way. Su Yun, you know this guy? Yes, I've been here before. The few of them were not slow, and the realm tree was not far from the gate. Very quickly, they arrived in front of the realm tree. The Wanhua realm lord's weak but beautiful figure appeared in Su Yun's line of sight. She was slender and elegant, standing on the branch in front of the gigantic realm tree. Her pair of limpid autumn eyes looked at the person flying over, her pink lips pursed slightly, and at first glance, she could not help but feel a sense of love. What a wonderful person! Emo Jihua looked at the Wanhua realm lord and could not help but ask. The few of them flew over, and Rong Myuk landed on the ground and bowed. Reporting to Realm Master, Lord Su has arrived. Prime Minister Rong has worked hard. You can go in and prepare first. I will entertain the 2 of you. The Wanhua Realm Lord said gently. His voice coming out from his lips and entering the ears of the 2 of them, they felt a cool breeze caressing their hearts. It was extremely comfortable. Yes, Realm Master. Rong Myuk left. Follow me, the 2 of you. As the realm master spoke, she turned and walked towards the realm tree. Su Yun and Emoji Hua walked inside together. Su Yun was confused, looking at the person leading the way. He could not help but ask, "Realm Master knows that we are coming? And you even know that we are looking for the Imperial Sword?" "I know." She tilted her head slightly and replied indifferently. "How did you know?" Su Yun immediately asked again. The Realm Master was silent for a moment, then asked, "Why did you kill your way into the Immortal Court alone?" Su Yun's heart was anxious, but after a moment, he suddenly understood. His face changed. He stared at the Wanhua Realm Lord, and said in shock, "You? Could it be that you are the same as the Immortal Court's envoy?" The Prime Minister's envoy is just a name that the Immortal Court gives to people like us. In reality, we are just pitiful people who can see through fate. The Realm Master said softly. "Peering at fate." Su Yun muttered, then asked softly, "Is this a type of spell?" "It's not a spell, it's not a gift, and it's not a punishment. It depends on how you use it, but if you are willing, I hope that I do not have this kind of eyes that can see through fate, because fate cannot be seen through." The Realm Master said indifferently. "If you compare yourself to those envoys, you should be much stronger than them. They can't even calculate who I am, but not only did you calculate who I am, you even calculated what I did and what I wanted to do. If the Immortal Court had your methods, I would not be able to contend against them," Su Yun said in a deep voice. The Realm Master did not speak. Emoji Hua, who was at the side, was confused. He did not understand what the two of them were talking about. The three of them continued forward, entered the realm tree, and headed towards the banquet. There were only 4 tables in the banquet, one for Su Yun and Emoji Hua, one for the Realm Master, and the remaining one was mostly prepared for the Imperial Sword. As for the other ministers of the Wanhua realm, none of them were called over. "Su Yun, I know you have a lot of questions. Take a seat first, I will tell you one by one." "All right." Su Yun nodded and everyone took their seat. The delicacies on the table were all delicacies from the Wanhua realm, and there were many types of wine. However, no one tasted the delicacies on the table. The Wanhua Realm Master said indifferently, "A few years ago, my Wanhua realm encountered a calamity. Although it was not a big calamity, it might cause my Wanhua realm to be destroyed in the chaos of the myriad realms in the future." "What?" Su Yun stared at the Realm Master with wide eyes. "Myriad realms? Chaos? What do you mean? Is the Wanhua realm going to be in chaos?" The Realm Master once again spoke slowly. "Master Su Yun should know that the myriad realms I am referring to is not the Wanhua realm, but the entire myriad realms, including the immortal world." Emoji Hua's eyes widened as he looked at the Realm Master. "What do you mean?" Su Yun regained his senses and asked in a low voice. "A few years ago, a group of mysterious powers came to my Wanhua realm and asked for conscription, and it was a secret conscription. They threatened to destroy the Wanhua realm, and asked me to send 30,000 people for them to use, and asked these 30,000 people to be completely loyal to them. Actually, with their martial strength, it would be very easy to conquer the Wanhua realm, but they understood that the people who relied on martial strength to conquer the Wanhua realm did not sincerely listen to their orders. Furthermore, they wanted to use the realm to threaten the people they obtained, and make these 30,000 people completely serve them, so they only used 30,000 people. I was forced to send out a notice, and asked for 30,000 people myself, and handed them over to them. After this person left, even the 300 million Hua realm people disappeared without a trace, but recently I have calculated that these 30,000 people have disappeared without a trace. I spent 100 years of my lifespan to calculate that this group of people is the key to the chaos of the myriad realms. I don't know what will happen to the myriad realms at that time, but the destruction of life is unavoidable. And these people, in the end, might cause my Wanhua realm to cease to exist. Although I can peek at fate, I can only see the tip of the iceberg. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart sank. He never thought that before the wave subsided, there would be such a hidden danger in the myriad realms. Chapter 12:17. In fact, what Su Yun did not expect even more was that the Wanhua Realm's Realm Master actually had the same methods as the Immortal Court's Prime Envoy. Furthermore, compared to the Immortal Court's Prime Envoy, her divination technique was even more brilliant and powerful. If the Immortal Court had an existence like the Realm Master and not the Prime Envoy, Su Yun would have exposed his identity long ago. Wait. Su Yun suddenly thought of something. With how powerful the Immortal Court was, the role of the Prime Envoy was self-evident. If he could form an alliance with the Wanhua Realm and pull the Lord of the Realm Tree into his own camp, wouldn't that mean that he would have a pair of eyes that could peer into the past and future? Since Realm Master has come to find me, there must be a reason. I wonder what Realm Master needs Su Yun to do? Su Yun asked. For the Wanhua Realm Master to welcome him so grandly, he must have something to ask of him. Since Su Yun had the intention to pull the Realm Master into his group, he naturally had to take the initiative. Do something? Actually, I don't know either. Realm Master hesitated for a moment, then said indifferently, but the fate that I have seen shows that your existence might be able to bring a sliver of life to the Wanhua Realm. Me? Su Yun was startled. What can I do? Realm Master shook her head. I don't know either, although fate can be seen, but it is only in the cave, and what you can see is very limited, and sometimes what you see might not be correct, so I am not sure what role you played in the calamity of the Wanhua Realm. Is that so? Su Yun was silent. But I believe that you will not harm my Wanhua Realm. Su Yun, there is a reason why I specially calculated when you will arrive. I hope to represent the Wanhua Realm, and be able to form an alliance with your subordinates, and advance and retreat together. What do you think? Just then, Realm Master said softly. With that said, Su Yun was stunned. Although he had the intention, but it was the Realm Master who brought it up first, which surprised him. After all, the Wanhua Realm Master had always advocated independence, and would never participate in any situation, but this time, she had taken the initiative to join Su Yun's camp. If she could see through fate, it would mean that she knew that Su Yun and the Immortal Court were enemies, and it was impossible for Su Yun to fight against the Immortal Court head-on, so she could only choose to hide. Realm Master, have you thought it through? Su Yun asked. Yes. Realm Master nodded without hesitation, and said lightly, Since I've already made my choice, I naturally won't regret it, but I wonder what you think, Su Yun. Although the Wanhua Realm is weak and is unable to participate in the matters of the immortal world, Realm Master, since you have the fortune-telling technique, it is naturally extremely important to me. If I can get your help, I, Su Yun, will definitely be very happy. All right. Just then, the Wanhua Realm Lord suddenly stood up, her hands clasped together and placed on her waist. Her slender and elegant appearance was truly lovable. She looked at Su Yun with a pair of gentle eyes, and after a moment she pursed her cherry lips and said, Then, since you and I have formed an alliance, then Su Yun, I want you to do one thing, and only after this matter is completed we can form an alliance, and I will also do things for you. What is it? Su Yun did not understand. The Wanhua Realm Lord said gently, Marry me. An? Su Yun thought that he had heard wrongly. He opened his eyes wide and looked at the Wanhua Realm Lord, feeling that there was something wrong with his ears. You? What did you say? He said in astonishment. Emojihua, who was at the side, was even more surprised. The wine cup in his hand almost fell to the ground. What is this woman talking about? Her eyes were even bigger than Su Yun's. She could not understand what this little girl was thinking. Su Yun only regained his senses after a long while. He looked at the Realm Master's delicate and pretty but serious face, took a deep breath, and said, Why? Don't worry about the reason, Su Yun. If you want to form an alliance, you must marry me. If you don't want to marry me, I'm afraid this alliance will not be formed. We haven't developed to this stage yet, have we? Su Yun asked. Indeed. Then is it because of something else that you're doing this? You can think that I have other goals, but my goals will not affect you, much less harm you. I have someone I like. I know. The Realm Master said indifferently, not minding at all. Hearing that, Su Yun fell into a deep silence. You just need to understand that this is just a marriage of cooperation. We can't even be considered as dual cultivation partners. I don't ask for much. I just want a title. But this status can't be given randomly. I have to be worthy of those who love me. Su Yun said indifferently. I don't ask to be a wife, I just need a concubine. The Realm Master was still very indifferent. In the future, you will know the reason. Su Yun secretly snorted, but did not say anything. He did not like others to keep him in suspense. Although the Realm Master had already said it out loud, it still made him feel disgusted. If the Realm Master did not say that she wanted to serve Su Yun would have rejected her long ago, but if she agreed, she would have a minister envoy that belonged to her, and now that the Immortal Court did not have a minister envoy, she had already lost one eye, and if she had another eye, the gap between her and the Immortal Court would shrink by a lot. He took a deep breath. After thinking about it, he finally decided to agree to the Realm Master. All right, since that's the case, I promise you, he said in a deep voice. The Realm Master nodded. She did not say anything else, and gently sat down. The atmosphere in the hall was a little awkward. Emoji Hua stared blankly at the two of them, not knowing what to say. She probably never thought that the Realm Master would actually say such words to Su Yun. After an unknown period of time, is there something important that you called me over? A grand voice floated into the hall. Following that, a grayish-black wind suddenly blew in the hall, and when the three of them looked over, there was already a handsome man dressed in grayish-black light armor, with a long braid hanging down to his waist. The man was extremely good-looking, with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His face was angular, and the grayish-black light armor on his body was also extremely stylish, with a thick dragon tattoo circling in front and back. The dragon was extremely lifelike, as though it could fly out of the armor at any time, but what was rather eye-catching was that on the head of the dragon tattoo, there was a sharp sword piercing it. It was extremely strange. He sat on the chair, picked up the wine jug on the table, opened the lid, took a big gulp, and exclaimed, "Good wine!" Seeing that, Su Yun immediately understood. No wonder the banquet was filled with wine. It turned out that the wine was specially prepared for the person who came. Imperial Ming Sword. An existence that even the people of the Immortal Court were terrified of. An existence that single-handedly blocked the Immortal Court's army. Master. Emoji Hua's face was filled with joy. He immediately stood up and walked over quickly, cupped his fists and bowed. Disciple greets Master. And the Imperial Ming Sword nodded. Its long and narrow eyes swept across Emoji Hua, and said indifferently, "I didn't expect you to be here, sit down and talk." With that, he drank another mouthful of wine. "Yes," Emoji Hua said, and Xian'er immediately returned to her seat. The Imperial Ming Sword continued to drink. He did not ask why the Realm Master had asked him to come, nor did he look at Su Yun, as though in his eyes, there was only the table full of wine. The Realm Master did not seem to invite the Imperial Ming Sword because of something, because after the Imperial Ming Sword arrived, she only glanced at him indifferently, and then placed her gaze on Su Yun. Obviously, she knew that Su Yun had come here to find the Imperial Ming Sword, and sending someone to invite the Imperial Ming Sword was also to sell Su Yun a favor. Su Yun naturally understood. After taking a deep breath, he stood up and walked towards the Imperial Ming Sword. Junior Su Yun pays his respects to Senior Imperial Ming Sword. Su Yun cupped his fists and said respectfully. His voice echoed throughout the hall. The Imperial Ming sword did not raise its head, it only casually swept its eyes across Su Yun, snorted, and continued to drink, as though it did not have any intention of paying attention to Su Yun. Su Yun frowned. After thinking for a moment, he cupped his fists again. True Devil Realm's Demon Lord Su Yun greets Senior Imperial Ming sword. However, the Imperial Underworld sword still didn't react at all. All of its attention was focused on the fine wine in front of it. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Emojihua was a little anxious, and immediately called out in a low voice, "Master." However, the Imperial Ming sword was still indifferent, as though no one could persuade him away from the table full of wine. Seeing that, Su Yun was startled for a moment, then laughed lightly, shook his head and said, "Sigh, forget it, since you do not want to bother with a small figure like me, then forget it, but it seems that the Imperial Ming sword is only SOSO. Thinking back to when I first became a disciple of the Sword Ancestor, I was only at the strength of an ant, but the Sword Ancestor still treated me kindly, and the Imperial Ming sword is so arrogant, there is still a gap between the Imperial Ming sword and the Limitless sword." Su Yun shook his head, and immediately headed back to his seat. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, the Imperial Underworld sword reacted. He put down the wine jug, stared at Su Yun with cold eyes, and shouted, "What did you say? First time worshipping the Sword Ancestor? You are the successor of the Sword Ancestor? Could it be that you only want to know the successor of the Sword Ancestor?" Su Yun asked. "You dare to be rude to me?" The Imperial Ming sword snorted, it suddenly extended its hand and extended towards Su Yun. A grayish-black chi pounced towards Su Yun. The chi was soundless, others could not feel it, but Su Yun, who was inside, felt as though an ancient god was pulling him. He could not resist at all, so strong. As expected of the Imperial Ming sword. But this time, Su Yun was also stubborn. He directly activated the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe and the immortal chi in his body to resist. His feet sank, and forcefully resisted the Imperial Ming sword's chi. Chapter 12:18. Although Su Yun tried his best to resist, Su Yun's body was still moving forward bit by bit. Seeing that Su Yun was actually able to resist his chi, the Imperial Ming sword revealed a look of surprise, but he was not serious. If he was serious, Su Yun would not be able to resist at all. He did not stop, looked at Su Yun, and said indifferently, "You have some ability, but you are too arrogant in front of me. Everyone has to lower their heads, but you, relying on the fact that you are the successor of the Sword Ancestor, dare to behave atrociously in front of me. Today I am in a good mood, so I will not bother with you. If you are like this again in the future, I will definitely kill you." What kind of status did the Imperial Underworld sword have? Su Yun was also aware of it. Although he was unhappy with the Imperial Underworld sword's attitude previously, it was time for him to stop. He smiled, cupped his fists and said, "If Senior wants to kill me, it is naturally easy, but Senior, my life is not in Senior's hands, but in the hands of the Immortal Court. I am afraid that not only my life, but the lives of the entire Underworld and Demon Realm are already firmly in the hands of the Immortal Court. It is only a matter of time before they take it." Hearing that, the Imperial Ming sword frowned and stared at Su Yun. "What do you mean by that? Immortal Court? What does the Immortal Court want to do?" "Senior is infatuated with the way of the sword, so you naturally do not know what is going on outside. To be honest, Senior, I have specially come to find Senior, and my goal is to hope that Senior can quickly return to the Underworld and stop the Immortal Court's army. The Immortal Court has already sent mysterious envoy Ling Bai as the commander, and has sent more than 3 million elites from the Immortal World towards the Underworld. The Demon Realm is powerless to resist, and has already entered the Underworld, hoping to fight against the enemies of the Immortal World together with the Underworld army. However, the conflicts in the Underworld are endless. The 3 great Underworld commanders are divided into camps, and the 5 great underworld generals are choosing their own masters. Su Yun said with a serious face. Oh! The Imperial Ming sword leaned against the chair, picked up the wine on the table and shook it. Those 3 fellows are fighting again? Can't they stop for a while? Those bastards from the immortal court have come to provoke them, don't they know? How could they not know? However, they've already been infuriated by the other party, and they don't have the mood to pay attention to the people of the immortal dimension at all. Su Yun cupped his fists and said, Senior, please quickly return to the underworld and preside over the overall situation of the underworld. With a shout, I will invite 1,000,000 people from the underworld to resist the army of the immortal realm. Just a few people from the immortal world. What's there to fear? The Imperial Underworld sword drank all the wine in the flask in one go, wiped his mouth and said calmly, I'll return to the netherworld later to take a look. You don't have to worry. If that's the case, thank you very much, Senior. Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief and laughed. With the help of the Royal Underworld sword, the Underworld and the Demon World would definitely be safe. The 3 Netherworld marshals could not come to an agreement, but at least the Imperial Darksword had appeared, so they still had to give it some face. I will return to the Netherworld as soon as possible. Kid, where are the people of the Immortal Court? Based on a rough estimate, they should have already begun attacking the Netherworld gate. However, I haven't returned to the Netherworld for some time, so I don't know if the Netherworld has organized a counterattack. Su Yun replied. The Netherworld will naturally do its best, but before that, I have a wish that I must fulfill. If I can fulfill this wish of mine, I will have no regret. The Imperial Underworld sword said indifferently. Senior wants to fight with Master Ancestor? Let the Imperial Underworld sword and the Limitless sword technique determine who is stronger? Su Yun asked. Yes. An uncontrollable fighting intent surfaced in the Imperial Underworld sword's eyes, and he said in a deep voice, All these years, I have been painstakingly searching for the whereabouts of the sword ancestor. Back then, the Limitless sword technique shocked all realms and swept through the immortal world, but my Imperial Underworld sword is definitely not weaker than the Limitless sword technique, so I must determine who is stronger between us. Whether it's high or low, what's the difference? There are tens of thousands of sword techniques in this world, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. What's the point of distinguishing them? If you insist on explaining, I can only tell you that this is the sword Dao that I am pursuing. The Imperial Underworld sword said indifferently. Su Yun was silent. He thought for a moment, took a deep breath, and could only explain the situation of the sword ancestor to the Imperial Underworld sword. As expected, after the Imperial Underworld sword heard that the sword ancestor had encountered a calamity, the fighting intent in its eyes disappeared by more than half, and was replaced with disappointment. I never thought that the sword ancestor would actually encounter such a calamity. It's truly a pity. I'm afraid that once his soul is complete, his cultivation will drop by a lot. After wasting so many years, his strength will definitely not be as good as before. The Imperial Underworld sword shook its head. There's nothing we can do about it. Back then, the sword ancestor was like you, challenging people everywhere and offending many people. Later on, he was harmed by others, which is why he ended up like this. However, there is one thing that Senior might have said wrongly. After experiencing this calamity, the sword ancestor's cultivation has indeed dropped, but his strength will definitely not drop, because what he has grown is his state of mind, and what he has experienced is life. Senior will definitely not be able to compare to the sword ancestor. Su Yun said seriously. The Imperial Underworld sword frowned, but did not refute. Su Yun did not say a word. He bowed and immediately returned to his seat. But the moment he sat down, Mo Jihua, who was beside him, kept winking at him. Looking at Mo Jihua's expression, he seemed to be blaming Su Yun for always using that tone to talk to the Imperial Underworld sword. Actually, Emoji Hua could not be blamed. In the past, all the famous supreme expert, regardless of whether they were immortals or demons, which one of them would not be respectful and fearful when they saw the Imperial Underworld sword. But looking at this guy, he did not have the slightest bit of fear. Even if the Imperial Underworld sword was angry, he did not have the slightest bit of fear. What was his courage made of? Did this guy really not know how to write death? Did he think that just because I was by his side, I would speak up for him, so he could act recklessly? Emoji Hua thought angrily. Just then, the Imperial Underworld sword stood up and said indifferently, "I've drunk enough wine. Since that's the case, it's time to set off." Hearing that, Su Yun asked, "Senior, are you going to head to the underworld now?" "More or less, but before I go, I need to change my sword." The Imperial Underworld sword said indifferently. "Change your sword?" Hearing that, Su Yun was startled. He looked at the waist of the Imperial Underworld sword, only to see a sword sheath hanging there, but no sword. He was immediately curious. "Senior, what sword do you use? What sword do you want to change?" "My sword is everything in the world, but this time, when I fight with the immortal world, I naturally cannot use an ordinary sword." The Imperial Underworld sword turned around and walked out. Seeing that, Emoji Hua immediately stood up and followed. "Brat, you go back first and help me stabilize the situation in the underworld. I'll rush over later. Don't worry, with me here, the underworld will be fine, and your demon realm will be even more so." As the Imperial Underworld sword spoke, he had already walked out of the center of the realm tree. Emoji Hua stood at the door and turned to look at Su Yun. He waved his hand and followed him out. Su Yun was still sitting in the hall, looking at the door, while the Realm Master was quietly sitting on her chair. Towards the conversation between the two of them, she did not express any opinions, nor did she interrupt them. After a long while, Su Yun sighed and muttered to himself, "Unusual sword? What kind of sword can this be?" Immortal Slaying Sword. At this time, the Realm Master followed up. Hearing that, Su Yun was shocked. "Immortal Slaying Sword? What sword is this?" "It's a sword refined by the Imperial Underworld sword itself, a sword specially used to kill immortals," the Realm Master said indifferently. "With this sword in the underworld, it is enough to intimidate the immortals. Even the immortal court would have to be wary of it. Su Yun, if nothing unexpected happens, you don't have to worry. The Imperial Underworld sword will definitely be able to block the immortal court's army." Hearing that, Su Yun nodded his head. He stood up, reached into the space bag and rummaged around for a while, then took out an order badge and handed it over to the Realm Master. "Take it." The Realm Master looked at the order badge with puzzlement. "This is my order badge. If there's anything between us, we can use this to communicate," Su Yun said. "Yes." The Realm Master nodded her head. Her jade-like hands received the order badge and carefully hung it on her waist. "Time is of the essence, so I won't stay any longer. When I have time in the future, I'll come back to see you," Su Yun said and then walked out. The Realm Master did not stop him and watched Su Yun leave. After exiting the Realm Tree, Su Yun could not help but look towards the direction of the Linglong Mountain. In his mind, he could still clearly remember the Lotus Star sect from back then, but the Lotus Star sword had already fallen, so he could not help but feel a myriad of emotions in his heart. "Where did you meet that person?" After exiting the Wanhua realm, the Imperial Underworld sword directly asked Emoji Hua, who was following behind him. "I met him in the Fire Heart realm. He wanted to find Master, but he didn't know where Master was, so he came to find me," Emoji Hua immediately said, and told everything that had happened in the Fire Heart realm to the Imperial Underworld sword. Hearing that, the Imperial Underworld sword fell into deep thought. After a while, it said, "This person is not simple. After obtaining the inheritance of the Holy Devil Fire, he is naturally not simple. In the future, he will definitely ascend to the heavens in a single step." Emo Jihua said. I'm not saying that he won't be simple in the future, I'm saying that he won't be simple now. Even if he doesn't have the inheritance of the holy devil fire, he is still not an ordinary person. You must not provoke him easily, understand? Emo Jihua was startled. Why? This person did not show any weakness in the face of my sword chi, killing intent, and energy. In fact, even though he knew that I was the Imperial Underworld sword, he still dared to provoke me. It is enough to show that in his heart, he is not afraid of me. He is not an idiot. Furthermore, what I saw in his eyes was not only arrogance, but also abnormal calmness. Calm. To be able to maintain such a calm state of mind in front of me, it is enough to show that this is a person who has seen great storms and waves. I believe that he might have faced someone even more powerful than me, or even become enemies with them. However, he is still standing here unscathed. This proves two things. Either his strength is not as simple as what we see it to be, or he has an incredible existence supporting him. No matter what, you must be careful. Do you understand? The Imperial Darksword said with a serious expression. Emo Jihua was startled, and only reacted after a long while, and said helplessly, "Yes, Master." Chapter 12:19. Now that he had found the Imperial Ming sword, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Time was of the essence. He immediately headed towards the underworld without stopping. With the support of the two supreme experts, the Imperial Ming sword and the Fire Holy Devil, the experts of the Immortal Court did not need to be afraid. It was just that the Immortal Court had a large number of people, the army was pressing down like a mountain, but the underworld did not feel any sense of danger, and was still fighting for their personal grudges. It was not good for Su Yun to interfere in the internal affairs of the underworld, so he could only ask the Imperial Ming sword to mediate. Su Yun carefully entered the true Devil Realm from the ultimate martial world. At the moment, the true Devil Realm was filled with a large number of immortals, and even at the entrance, there were many immortals guarding it. Su Yun used the invisibility ability of the Imperial Battle Robe to sneak in. His cultivation was so strong that ordinary immortals could not even sense his existence. Su Yun headed straight for the river stick. At the moment, there were no longer any immortals in the true Devil Realm. All of the Devil Cultivator's buildings were occupied by the immortals, and all of the resources inside were divided up by the sects of the immortal world. After experiencing this baptism, the strength of the Devil Cultivator had once again dropped to an extremely low point, even lower than when Su Yun first entered the true Devil Realm. If not for Su Yun entering the immortal world to nurture a group of immortal-level Devil Cultivators for the true Devil Realm, the true Devil Realm would not have any bargaining chips to contend against the immortal world. Passing by the true Devil sect, Su Yun could not help but stop in his track. Across the mountain, he looked at the true Devil sect in the distance, only to see a white light appearing in the entire sect. There was a row of Immortal Court soldiers stationed outside, and a few immortals dressed in white robes were entering and exiting the gate. They were holding on to magic treasures with serious expressions, as though they were mining something. There were many secrets regarding the Devil Cultivator in the true Devil sect, especially the ancient tomb. If it fell into the hands of the Immortal Court, it would not be good. In this way, the Immortal Court would definitely be able to find out about the great demons that were hiding in the immortal world. However, since the true Devil sect dared to retreat, the ancient tomb must have taken some measures. Su Yun did not know the strength of the sect master, and did not know if the ancient tomb was sealed by him, or if the Immortal Court could open it. Actually, according to Su Yun's intentions, it would be for the best if he could destroy it. After all, he had already obtained all the benefits from the ancient tomb, and it would no longer be beneficial to the Yun of the Immortal Court. Su Yun thought for a moment, then decided to sneak into the true Devil sect to take a look. He once again activated the power of the Imperial Battle Robe, shielding his body and directly headed towards the true Devil Sect. All of them had the strength of the 5th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal, but facing Su Yun, who was at the 6th stage of the Spirit Profound God, they did not pose any threat. Even if Su Yun did not hide his body, as long as he stood behind them, they would not be able to sense Su Yun's existence. After successfully entering the true Devil Sect, everything inside was still so familiar, but the ground and walls were all set up by the people of the Immortal Court. These array seals were shining brightly, and no one knew what they were for. Su Yun looked around, and immediately headed towards the ancient tomb. On the way to the ancient tomb, there were very few people from the Immortal Court, but as they approached the ancient tomb, a large number of white-clothed and white-robed people appeared in Su Yun's line of sight. These people were either disintegrating the array formations left behind by the Devil Cultivator, or digging out the treasures hidden by the Devil Cultivator. All of them seemed to be extremely busy, and in front of the ancient tomb stood nearly 20 people. In front of these 20 people was the entrance to the ancient tomb, but the entrance to the ancient tomb had already been completely sealed. A seal that was emitting black smoke blocked the entrance to the ancient tomb. The seal looked as thin as a strand of hair, but it could withstand thousands of tempering, and no matter what magic treasure these people from the Immortal Court used, they could not destroy it. Su Yun looked at the seal. His heart was filled with astonishment. The aura of the seal was not created by Octagon Aniseed. Then without a doubt, it must have been set up by the sect master. Just that the sect master actually had the ability to set up a seal that could actually block the people of the Immortal Court? Su Yun felt that it was extremely inconceivable. Just then, a familiar voice entered Su Yun's line of sight. He was slightly startled. He carefully leaned over, and when he saw the person's side profile, he immediately believed it without a doubt. He took a light breath, took a few steps back, and walked to a corner where there was no one around. He quietly activated his immortal chi and sent it towards the person's consciousness. "Xiao Chua!" Su Yun called out. When Xiao Chua, who was still standing there rubbing his chin, heard the voice, his entire body trembled, and he anxiously looked left and right. She knew who this voice belonged to, but she did not expect to hear it here. "Master, what's wrong?" The people from the Immortal Court who were recording something saw Xiao Chua looking around nervously, and immediately asked curiously. "No. Nothing." Xiao Chua took a deep breath, and her expression returned to normal. She then asked, "Is there any progress?" Reporting to Master, this seal should have been set up by a peerless expert. The seal formation is extremely exquisite. It did not rely on a strong cultivation to set it up. Its internal structure is like a starry sky, densely arranged. It looks disorderly and messy, but in reality, it is connected layer by layer. There is not a single extra point. The person who can set up such a formation, not only is he extremely powerful, he is also a formation master. Master, forgive me for speaking bluntly. I'm afraid that even if Master Chief were to come, he would still need to spend some effort to break it, the man said with a troubled expression. Hearing that, Xiao Chua frowned. She nodded and said, "Got it, you guys continue working. Although this seal is strong, but the higher-ups have already set a time limit. You guys must break it. If you cannot break this seal, not only will I have to bear the responsibility, none of you will have a good ending, understand?" "Yes, sir," the man hurriedly said. Xiao Chua turned and left. After leaving the sealed grounds, Xiao Chua walked forward, and waited until there was no one around before looking around. Was it my imagination just now? Xiao Chua muttered, but she was sure that she had heard Su Yun's voice just now. "It's not your imagination, Xiao Chua. It's me, Su Yun." Just then, Su Yun's voice sounded out in Xiao Chua's heart once again. Hearing that, Xiao Chua was startled for a moment. She anxiously looked left and right, and at the same time asked softly, "Su Yun, where are you? Why are you here?" The space around Xiao Chua distorted for a moment, and then a figure slowly appeared. Looking closely, it was Su Yun. Seeing Su Yun appear, Xiaochua's face became extremely ugly. Su Yun, why are you here? Don't you know that this place is already occupied by the Immortal Court? There are experts of the Immortal Court outside. Aren't you afraid of being discovered? Don't worry, Xiaochua, I have already concealed my aura. Unless an existence above the seventh stage of the Spirit Profound God comes, it will be impossible to discover my existence. Su Yun said. Seventh stage of the Spirit Profound God? Xiaochua was shocked. You already possess the cultivation of the seventh stage of the Spirit Profound God. Yes. Su Yun nodded. Hearing that, Xiaochua's heart was filled with complicated emotions. Ever since she entered the Immortal Court, other than working for the Immortal Court, she had also been using the Immortal Court's resources to cultivate, and had already broken through to the fifth stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm. This was the result of her obtaining countless luck, and using a large amount of heaven and earth treasures. She had also been training hard in the past, and in terms of diligence, Su Yun could not compare to her at all. She had always been advancing with Su Yun as her goal, but now she realized that even though she was working hard, the gap between her and Su Yun was getting bigger and bigger. She took a deep breath, shook off the chaotic thoughts in her heart, and directly asked, Su Yun, what are you doing here? This is the True Devil Sect. I am originally a member of the True Devil Sect. How can I not come here? But this place has already been occupied by the Immortal Court. Hurry up and leave, this place is very dangerous. Once you are exposed, no one will be able to protect you. Don't worry. Su Yun smiled slightly. If I really am exposed, there is only one way to avoid trouble for me. What method? Silence him. Su Yun deliberately revealed a sinister look on his face. Xiaochua was startled, then shook her head. Then am I going to die too? If you don't die, won't the Immortal Court suspect you? If the Immortal Court suspects you, they will definitely use the mind-reading technique. You know so many of my secrets. Wouldn't that expose all of my secrets? That's true. Xiaochua's face turned pale, she laughed bitterly, but was unable to say a single word. Her body seemed to be on the verge of collapse, as though she was unable to stand steadily. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately supported her waist and said, AI, Xiaochua, are you alright? I was just joking, don't mind me, don't mind me. It's just a joke. It seemed to be going a little too far. Xiaochua was startled, seeing Su Yun's face full of anxiety and self-blame, her bright eyes blinked, and she could not help but laugh, but she rarely laughed, so this time, she held it in and asked, Then you? What do you plan to do? If I really am exposed, I will naturally pretend to be a spy from the underworld and escape. It's fine. Is that so? Xiaochua blinked again, she could accept this kind of reason. Seeing that Xiaochua had recovered, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief and asked, Xiaochua, what are you guys doing here? As the number one power in the True Devil Realm, the True Devil Sect is also the power that rules over the True Devil Realm. How can the Immortal Court not pay attention to it? However, this time, the higher-ups have found the Resource Department, and as the new person in charge of the Resource Department, I naturally have to take care of the matters here, transport all the useful resources in the True Devil Sect back to the Immortal Court, and at the same time mine the surrounding resources. If there are any clues in the True Devil Sect, I have to report it to the Immortal Court immediately, and it can be said that I have to take care of all the places that are far away from the River Styx. The person in charge of the Resource Department. You're already the Minister of Resources? Su Yun was shocked. He did not get any news from Su Luluo. I can't be considered a minister, right? I can only say that I'm an intern. Xiaochua shook her head. If this matter is not handled well, I will definitely not be able to succeed, so I can only choose my opponent. Opponent? Yes, Chen Xinsheng's beloved disciple, Zhang Zihuan. Xiaochua said helplessly. Chapter 12:20. Zhang Zihuan. This was the first time Su Yun had heard of this name. With the help of Luluo in the dark, none of these people are my opponent. However, I have only been in the Immortal Court for a short period of time, and my qualifications are still shallow. Even though there are many people supporting me, whether or not I can become the resource department head still depends on the words of my superior. Thus, my opponents have increased, and they all hope that the resource department will be in their hands, so they have chosen many trusted aides to participate in the examination. This Zhang Zihuan was originally the disciple of Chen Xinsheng, and after Chen Xinsheng died, he followed the third-rank profound envoy Chu Hentian. Chu Hentian is extremely selfish, and only seeks profit. In order to cultivate, he will do anything. His qualifications are very deep, and his cultivation is also not ordinary, but because of his bad character, he is only a third-rank profound envoy. However, Zhang Zihuan and Chu Hentian are birds of the same feather, and the two of them are actually birds of a feather. Recently, they have been fighting fiercely, and with Chu Hentian's support, Zhang Zihuan has the chips to compete with me. I do not have anyone to support me, and only have the help of some of my fellow disciples in the resource department. I am afraid that I am not his opponent. If this matter can be completed smoothly, then it is fine, but I am worried that he will secretly make things difficult for me. If that is the case, then I have no chance. Hearing that, Su Yun thought for a moment, then asked, "How can I smoothly complete the mission?" At least 3 pieces of information that are beneficial to the Immortal Court. 3? How many did you find? Not a single one. Xiao Chua shook his head. Although your true devil sect people have left behind a lot of resources, but you did not leave behind a single thing regarding the devil cultivators' information. Obviously, your sect master has already made preparations to retreat, and even if we come, other than some treasures, we don't have anything else. So you guys plan to open this seal and see what's behind it, right? Yes. What if you don't submit 3 pieces of information? Zhang Zihuan will be the one to investigate. What if he returns empty-handed like you? There will be a new competition. After all, the resource department is not a small department in the Immortal Court. The candidates will naturally have to be considered. So it's like that. Su Yun thought for a moment, then suddenly thought of something and said, "You can investigate like this, it's about time to go back, there's no need to provide anything useful to the Immortal Court." Is that so? Xiao Chua was startled and said, "Su Yun, if I can sit in the position of the Minister of Resources to you, it will be of great benefit. Are you going to give it up just like that? Why don't you work harder? I know you've been working very hard, but some things can't be forced. In fact, there's nothing to dig out here. If you continue, you'll only be buying time. However, in order to prevent you from being defeated by Zhang Zizi, I will leave you a message. You can bring it back and report it to the Immortal Court." News? What news? I'll leave a message later. Tell them that the Devil Dwellers have contacted the Royal Sword of the Underworld before they entered the Underworld, and ask the Royal Sword to hurry back to the Underworld as reinforcements. Ask the people of the Immortal Court to prepare as soon as possible. Imperial Underworld Sword? Xiao Chua was startled. You've heard of this person? In this expedition, the Immortal Court has been thinking about the Imperial Underworld Sword the most, but all of the Immortal Court's envoys have been eliminated by you. The Immortal Court does not know if the Imperial Underworld Sword will appear, but they have already taken precautions. The Imperial Underworld Sword will appear. Since they have already taken precautions, then this news will not affect us much. You can go and report it. All right. Xiao Chua nodded. Also, try not to let your people open this seal again. Inside is the cenotaph left behind by the great demons of the True Devil sect, and there are quite a few pieces of information regarding the Devil Dweller. If possible, it's best to leave as soon as possible. I understand. Xiao Chua, Thank you for your hard work. It's nothing hard. Although I'm working in the immortal court, you and I are both from the ultimate martial world. What's there to say? Is that so? Su Yun's smile was a little stiff. Xiao Chua pursed his lips, as though he felt that the atmosphere was a little awkward. He immediately changed the topic and said, Su Yun, did you come to the true devil realm just to take a look? Of course not. Su Yun shook his head. I need to rush back to the underworld immediately to organize the situation there. What about the immortal world? With Luluo here, I don't have to worry. So it's like that, but there are many experts in the army that the immortal court has formed this time. Will the imperial underworld sword that you mentioned really come? Yes. Su Yun nodded seriously. But even if he appears, you have to be careful. Remember, you cannot personally enter the battlefield. The immortal court has placed a lot of importance on this operation. Even the chief judge of the immortal court has personally given the order, although the top experts of the immortal court have not appeared, but the profound envoys who have set out this time, in the immortal world, are all peak-level existences. It will not be difficult for them to deal with one demon realm and one underworld. I got it. I'm saying if you lose the battle, what are your plans? Go back to the immortal world and hide. That's good too. I can still provide you with some information in the immortal world. If the immortal court wants to get rid of you in this vast immortal world, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Don't always talk about me, Xiao Chua. You have to be careful yourself, don't expose yourself, or else you'll be finished. Don't worry, I will take care of myself. Xiao Chua nodded. Yes. Su Yun did not dare waste too much time here. Since Xiao Chua was the one handling the matters of the true devil sect, then Su Yun was a lot more at ease. At least the immortal court would not be able to dig anything out of this place. Su Yun took a deep breath and said directly, I still need to rush to the underworld, so I won't stay for long. Xiao Chua, take care. You have to be careful yourself. After the two of them bid farewell, Su Yun immediately flew out of the true devil sect. After leaving the true devil sect, Su Yun increased his speed. Right now, the immortal court seemed to treat the true devil sect as something that belonged to the immortal court, which made Su Yun unhappy. With the speed of the 6th stage of the Spirit Profound God, it would take him less than half a day to reach the river Styx, but as he approached the river Styx, Su Yun stopped in his tracks. A dense immortal chi rushed towards him, and in the direction of the river Styx, there was a fluorescent light. This light directly lit up the dark sky of the demon realm. Su Yun slowed down, gathered the immortal chi in his eyes, and looked forward, only to see that the river Styx was filled with immortal court soldiers. At the moment, the river Styx had already stopped flowing. On the surface of the river Styx, there was a layer of light barrier. The barrier seemed to have sealed the river Styx. The immortals stepping on the barrier, it was as if they were walking on flat ground. 2 white giants carrying huge iron hammers stepped on the barrier and advanced forward. These 2 giants were over 100 meters tall, their muscles bulged, their skin glowed, and there were golden patterns on their chests. It was unknown if they were living beings or mechanical artifacts. They slowly advanced, while the underworld army followed behind. The river Styx was a taboo existence in the true devil realm. The devil cultivator did not dare to approach the underworld, and even if the immortals fell into the river Styx, they would not feel good. Su Yun had originally thought that the river Styx would be able to stop the progress of the immortal court army, but against so many immortals, the river Styx would not be of much use. Su Yun concealed his aura and carefully advanced forward. After advancing for more than 100 miles, other than the clamor of the immortal court's troops, there was only the sound of light collisions. The light sound of the collision gradually became louder as Su Yun continued to move forward. Su Yun frowned and increased his speed. The sound beside his ears became louder and louder, and when he was about to reach the river Styx, the scene in front of him had completely shocked Su Yun. The entire river Styx was filled with immortals in the sky and on the river, And at the end of the river Styx, there was a huge copper door that was 10,000 meters long and 10,000 meters wide. The copper door was inlaid with a large number of skeletons, but at this moment, in front of the huge copper door, countless immortal court soldiers were crazily attacking it. The giants who had stepped onto the river Styx's barrier earlier all raised their sledgehammers and roared as they rushed towards the copper door. As they approached the copper door, they raised their sledgehammers high and fiercely smashed towards the copper door. On the shore of the river Styx, the immortal court had already set up more than a dozen extremely destructive formations. As long as the formation was successfully activated, it would be able to release an even more powerful destructive wave that would destroy the river Styx's gate. Every time the giants attacked, the gate of the nether realm would tremble, and more than half of the skeletons would fall. Looking at the trembling gate of the nether realm, Su Yun frowned. He turned his head and flew in the opposite direction. Previously, Octagon Aniseed had mentioned a secret passage that led to the nether realm. He had used this secret passage to enter and exit, but the door had already been occupied by immortals, so it was impossible for him to enter and exit. He flew towards the west until he reached the river Styx that was not covered by the barrier, and fell straight down. Plop! Su Yun's entire body directly submerged into the dark yellow river Styx's water. The death aura instantly enveloped him, and actually directly passed through the imperial battle robe, and started to tear apart his body. The water of the river Styx was indeed terrifying. It could ignore any magic treasure and directly affect a person's body, harming a person's body. No wonder the devil cultivator was so afraid of the river Styx, and often said that no one could cross the river Styx. However, Su Yun's cultivation was strong, and it was not difficult for the spirit profound god's body to resist the river Styx. But what Su Yun did not understand was, how did Octagon Aniseed come out? Su Yun organized his thoughts, and followed the directions that Octagon Aniseed had told him to move forward at an extremely fast speed. Not long after, he locked onto the location that Octagon Aniseed had mentioned and headed straight there. However, just as he approached, killing intent suddenly erupted from all around him. Under the river Styx, a large number of figures appeared and surrounded Su Yun with lightning speed. "Take him down!" A low shout rippled through the water. Su Yun looked around, only to realize that there were close to 100 armored existences. What surprised him was that he, a dignified spirit god, did not notice their existence in advance. Chapter 12:21. Are you people from the netherworld? Looking at the hundreds of people around him, Su Yun frowned and said. However, the other party did not seem to listen to Su Yun at all and directly rushed over. Everyone's chi moved, sweeping towards Su Yun, as though they wanted to seal all the immortal meridians in his body, not giving him any leeway to retaliate. Stop! I am the demon lord of the demon realm, not someone from the immortal court. This time, I have something important to announce. Quickly bring me to see your underworld commander. Su Yun shouted. However, the other party didn't listen to him at all, and his movements didn't slow down at all. Seeing that, Su Yun secretly snorted. Since these fellows did not differentiate between right and wrong, then he did not need to hold back anymore. He directly activated the chi of the imperial battle robe, sweeping out in all directions. The moment the people who were rushing over got close, their chi disappeared without a trace. It was truly miraculous. Everyone sensed the abnormality, and immediately understood that Su Yun was not ordinary, but at this time, Su Yun's eyes turned red, his entire body releasing devil chi. This scene made everyone understand, this person was not from the immortal court, but a devil cultivator. Are you really a demon dweller? One of them raised his hand and stopped the people from the netherworld who still wanted to step forward as he spoke in a low voice. How else do you want me to prove it? Do you want me to kill a few people from the immortal court to prove my identity? Su Yun bellowed. The man thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, "It's impossible for the people of the immortal court to detect this place. If you can come here, someone must have told you about this place." "Who told you about this place?" "Vice sect leader of the True Devil sect, Chi, True Devil sect." "A teeth?" That person did not seem to have heard of this name before. Seeing that, Su-Yun frowned. Devil cultivators were already weak in the underworld. Even if it was the True Devil sect, they would not be able to enter the eyes of these high and mighty underworld people. But it didn't matter, Su-Yun did not care about all this. He had to fight for his face. The current devil cultivator was indeed very weak. It was normal for people to not remember him. He took off the True Devil sect's Demon Lord token and handed it over to that person. The man hesitated for a moment, then motioned for the person beside him to take it. After taking it, he carefully looked at it for a while. "It's an item from the demon realm. The demonic energy on it is very thick. However, the demon lord of the True Devil realm. I've never heard of him. Forget it, I don't think he would dare to do anything by himself. Let's bring him to see Commander Ming." That person seemed to have made a decision. He looked at the people beside him and said, "You guys, bring him to see the Dark Commander. Be extra careful. We will continue to guard this place." "Yes." The few of them nodded and then led the way. The four of them surrounded Su-Yun. Su-Yun did not mind, as long as he could enter the underworld, everything would be fine. At the bottom of the river Styx, there was a gray whirlpool. The two people in front walked to the front of the whirlpool, looked at Su-Yun, and then jumped in. Su-Yun turned his head to look at the people behind him, only to see that they were staring at him. The two of them tilted their heads at Su-Yun. Su-Yun understood, exhaled, and had no choice but to jump inside. As soon as he entered the whirlpool, his body began to spin crazily. His vision also began to sway, as if even his consciousness had become blurry. The surrounding scenery began to distort. After an unknown period of time, the scenery gradually became clear. When he looked again, he was no longer at the bottom of the Netherworld River. Instead, he was on a platform that was still dark but appeared to be dry. The platform was made of waxy yellow bricks, but the bricks were not neatly laid. In the gaps between the bricks, one could see a large number of waxy yellow skeletons. They were like the cornerstone of the platform, and the bottom was covered with them. Su-Yun looked at one of the skeletons, only to see that the skeleton actually moved, and the empty head turned to look at him. If a mortal saw this, they would be so scared that they would break out in a cold sweat. But Su-Yun had seen this kind of thing many times. "Are they all living things?" Su-Yun could not help but mutter. "Is this your first time in the underworld?" The person beside him said indifferently, "These are all minor officials of the underworld. This passage is using their death aura." "Death aura?" Su-Yun frowned. He saw two waxy yellow skeletons walking over from afar, and at the same time, two more skeletons came out from the bottom of the platform. The four skeletons looked at each other, then two of them went in, and the two that came out directly walked into the distance, as if they were handing over their work. "Let's go," the person beside him shouted. Su-Yun, who was still in a daze, regained his senses, organized his thoughts, and followed. The underworld was different from the demon realm. It was like the most desolate place in the myriad realms, with yellow sand and barren mountains everywhere. There were almost no colored substances, and even the sky was gray. Su-Yun really did not know why so many supreme experts in the myriad realms would give up their glory and supreme status, and choose to enter this place, and become a person of the underworld that no one knew about. The four of them continued to move forward with Su-Yun. They did not seem to be in a hurry, nor did they urge their chi to increase their speed. A strong gust of wind blew, and the sand directly hit Su-Yun's face. Su-Yun was surprised to discover that his immortal chi could not defend against the sand at all. Not only that, even the cold wind and the coldness here could not be resisted. It was as if everything here could no longer be controlled. Ouch! Just then, a series of groans entered Su Yun's ears. Su Yun turned his head to look, and saw a few people with faces covered in blood walking over. These people covered their heads with pained expressions. Seeing that, the four of them stopped in their tracks. Lordly, what's wrong with you guys? The man on Su Yun's left could not help but ask as he looked at the few people walking over. Lord Underworld General's people are fighting again. We didn't dodge in time and suffered some injuries. Ouch! It hurts so much. The man said in pain. Is that so? The man on the left muttered to himself for a moment, then cupped his fists and said, It's best not to participate in such a chaotic matter. Master, this subordinate still has important matters to attend to, so I won't stay any longer. With that, the four of them continued forward. Su Yun looked at the few injured people, his heart filled with doubt. What's going on? These people are clearly only suffering from superficial injuries, and to immortals, these injuries are nothing. Those few lords also have the strength of a spirit immortal. Why can't they rely on the immortal chi to recover? He muttered in his heart, but it was not convenient for him to ask these people. Previously, he had already felt that the underworld was different from the other realms. The spirit energy here was abundant, but what was extremely unique was that within the abundant spirit energy, there was also an extremely dense death aura. The death aura and the spirit energy were two extremely unique auras, and the two auras were equivalent to opposite. Under normal circumstances, the two auras should not exist together, but in the underworld, the two auras perfectly fused together. He didn't know if the strange feeling he got here was because of the two auras coexisting. Continue forward. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, a few tribes gradually appeared in Su Yun's line of sight. Although it was called a tribe, it was actually just a few footholds made of stones. However, at these footholds, one could see many people dressed in luxurious robes or bright armor going in and out. There were even people flying around in the sky, as if they were very busy. These people were dressed in bright armor, but the surrounding buildings were extremely primitive, causing Su Yun to be unable to understand them. The few of them led Su Yun into one of the tribes, and a group of armored soldiers immediately rushed out from the tribe, blocking their path. Lang He, who is he? A person asked. Reporting to General, this person claims to be the demon lord of the true devil realm. Chapter 12:22. The underworld being led Su Yun outside. Outside the tribe, there were a few forks in the road, and each of the forks led to the tribe. These tribes seemed to be built together, and every tribe was surrounded by a large number of armored soldiers. Su Yun was curious, but after careful comparison, he realized that these tribes were all under the command of the underworld commander. These people did not say a word, but all of their faces had an unprecedented fanaticism. Su Yun knew what they were thinking. Su Yun did not know what other experts there were in the underworld other than the Imperial Underworld Sword, but among the known experts, after the 3 underworld commanders and 5 underworld generals, it was the Imperial Underworld Sword. No one knew how strong the Imperial Underworld Sword was. Just by himself, he was able to cause the immortal court to shrink back. This was not something that any immortal could do. Even the supreme expert of the immortal world could not do. With this kind of method, how could he not be respected by the people of the underworld? The underworld beings also worshipped the strong. Everything was like this. People yearned for the high places, so they naturally respected those who stood at the top. Su Yun took a deep breath and walked forward with them. Although they did not make a sound, he could still feel the passion in their hearts. After about half an incense stick of time, "We're here." The underworld being who was walking in front stopped in his tracks, and everyone stopped moving forward. Su Yun also stopped in his tracks. He looked left and right. He seemed to have reached the front of a huge tribe, and in front of the tribe, stood close to 100 armored underworld beings. They lined up in a row, as if sealing off these existences. The underworld being who was walking in front immediately stepped forward, bowed to the armored underworld beings, and said, "This subordinate greets the generals. May I ask the generals to report that the true Devil Realm Demon Lord has something important to report to the Lord Underworld Commander. It is regarding the Lord Imperial Underworld Sword." Lord Imperial Underworld Sword? When the armored generals heard this, they all revealed astonished expressions, probably unable to believe their own ears. The Imperial Underworld Sword was a supreme synonym in the underworld. Other than the illusory underworld god, perhaps it belonged to this Lord Imperial Underworld Sword. "Wait here for a moment, I'll immediately go in and report." With that, the general ran straight inside. Su-Yun glanced at the underworld being who was running inside and then asked, "Masters, I still don't know which underworld commander is this?" "Of course it's the Flying Blaze Dark Marshal." His eyes were filled with a hint of pride. Without a doubt, this person was the Flying Flaming Underworld General. Su-Yun was startled and frowned. The 3 underworld commanders were divided into 2 camps. One was led by the Chi-He Underworld Commander, the other was led by the 9 Calamities and the Flying Flaming Underworld Commander, and the grudge between the underworld commanders was precisely the grudge between the 9 Calamities and the Flying Flaming Underworld Commander against the Chi-He Underworld Commander. Although the Chi-He Underworld Commander was powerful, he did not have many experts under his command, and the majority of the underworld beings under his command were underworld beings who wanted to rely on him to cultivate, but the 9 Calamities and the Flying Flaming Underworld Commander were different. The 2 underworld commanders only accepted elites, and were extremely powerful. When the 2 of them joined hands to fight against the Chi-He Underworld Commander, the Chi-He Underworld Commander was naturally unable to hold on, and it was said that his position in the underworld was almost empty, and was in imminent danger, and could fall at any time. Su-Yun thought for a moment, then cupped his fists and said, "Masters, please go and inform the Chi-He Underworld Commander." "Inform the Chi-He Underworld Commander?" The underworld being frowned, and said with disdain, "Why do you need to inform him? The purpose of Lord Imperial Dark Sword's visit this time is to unite the various underworld commanders to fight against the Immortal Court's army. Naturally, we have to inform the Chi-He Underworld Commander. Right now, the entire underworld should be united, so that we can defeat the foreign enemies. Otherwise, the underworld will be in danger." "Heh, kid, you're still too young, you don't know about the matters of the underworld." In the underworld, although it is said that there are 3 underworld commanders, in reality, there are only 2 underworld commanders. The so-called Chi-He Underworld Commander has long since died in name, and the cats and dogs under his command are not even worth mentioning. If it wasn't for the fact that he still has some strength, I'm afraid no one would be able to remember him. But you just said the Immortal Court Army? What? The Immortal Court Army is here? The underworld being glanced at him. Hearing that, Su-Yun was almost angered to death. The Immortal Court Army had already started to smash the door, but they still did not know. Was it because they were not well informed, or was it because they did not place the Immortal Court Army in their eyes? The Immortal Court Army has already started their attack at the Underworld Gate. "Masters, do you still not know?" Su-Yun sighed and said, "So they're here? So fast?" The underworld being frowned. "That's why I quickly went to invite Lord Imperial Underworld Sword to quickly return to the underworld and reorganize the underworld beings so that we can fight against the Immortal Court Army. You don't have to worry. As long as you have the Imperial Underworld Sword, the Flying Flame Underworld Commander and the 9 Calamities Underworld Commander, a mere Immortal Court Army will not be a problem at all." "Is that so?" Su-Yun glanced at him and did not say anything else. From the looks of it, the current 9 Calamities Underworld Commander and the Flying Flame Underworld Commander were truly monstrous. Even their subordinates looked down on the Chi-He underworld commander. At this time, a person quickly ran over from the tribe. Upon closer inspection, it was the general who had run in earlier. He glanced at the crowd and said, "You guys can go in. The Flying Flame underworld commander is already waiting for you inside." "Thank you." The underworld being cupped his fists, then led Su Yun inside. There were sentries every few steps in the tribe, and the security was extremely tight. If the netherworld was peaceful, there naturally wouldn't be so many guards. However, now that there was a battle between the netherworld commanders, it was understandable that there would be more guards. Su Yun frowned. It was rather ugly, but in someone else's territory, it was not convenient for him to say anything. Towards this Flying Flame underworld commander, he did not have much impression of him. He could only see what he was like first. If he was righteous, it would be understandable. After walking to the end of the path, a gigantic stone palace appeared in his line of sight, and at the entrance of the palace stood two tall and straight underworld realm people, one male and one female. They were filled with heroic spirit. Seeing Su Yun's arrival, the two of them immediately turned their gazes over. Their gazes were like torches, landing on him, giving off a strange feeling of being seen through. "Halt!" When this group of people arrived, the man immediately spoke. Everyone stopped. The man gave the woman a look, and the woman understood. Her eyes suddenly shot out two rays of golden light, shining on the bodies of these people. In an instant, everyone was enveloped by the light, and after about 10 breaths of time, the light stopped. The woman nodded. The man understood and said, "You guys can go in." Su Yun then realized that the two of them were inspecting everyone, but there was nothing much to check. After all, there were some magic treasure that they could not see through. Everyone walked straight in. In the hall there were 7 or 8 people sitting on both sides. There was also one person sitting at the top. It was a handsome man dressed in yellow armor with extremely long hair. The man's face was covered with a large number of fiery red patterns, which occupied half of his face. His expression was cold, but his eyes were blazing, as if there were flames flickering in them. As soon as he entered, the man's gaze swept over, causing everyone to feel extremely hot, as if they were being shone by the scorching sun, and did not dare to raise their heads to look. "Greetings, Lord Flying Flame." "Greetings, generals." The underworld being that walked and immediately knelt down on one knee and bowed. Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fists and bowed, saying, "True Devil Realm Demon Lord greets everyone." "Greetings, Flying Flame Underworld Commander." "How dare you? You didn't kneel when you saw me, Flying Flame Underworld Commander." When the underworld generals on both sides saw that Su Yun did not kneel, they were immediately dissatisfied and immediately shouted, "You are the underworld commander. I am the demon lord of the demon realm. How can the demon lord kneel when he sees the underworld commander?" Su Yun said indifferently, "Bastard! A small true devil realm actually produced such an arrogant person. You have to know. Your true devil realm came to my underworld to seek refuge. The army of the immortal court. It was also because of you that I came. You are still so arrogant. Are you not putting us, the underworld beings, in your eyes? Let me show you what I'm made of." One of the underworld being generals could not stand it any longer. He slapped his chair and stood up, about to make a move. But just then, Su Yun suddenly turned his head and stared at the underworld general. A burst of profound spirit chi flew out from his eyes and directly struck the underworld general's body. The underworld general's body trembled and immediately sat down, his entire body perspiring profusely. What an imposing manner! At this time, the Flying Flame Underworld Commander seemed to have noticed something and immediately said, "Underworld Commander!" Everyone hurriedly called out, "Don't be rude. Don't lose face in front of outsiders." The Flying Flame Underworld Commander raised his hand and said indifferently. Everyone stopped talking. The Flying Flame Underworld Commander continued, Furthermore, this Lord Demon Lord of the true Devil realm is extraordinary. He has the cultivation of the 6th stage of the Spirit Profound realm. He is not an ordinary person, don't show off in front of him. 6th stage of the Spirit Profound realm? Everyone was shocked. Most of the Devil cultivators in the true Devil realm did not even have the cultivation of the Spirit Sage. How could this true Devil realm's Demon Lord be so powerful? Especially the underworld beings that came with Su Yun, they were already drenched in cold sweat, they were so scared that their legs had gone soft. Thinking back to their arrogant attitude in front of Su Yun, they were both embarrassed and afraid. In their eyes, an existence at the 6th stage of the Spirit Profound realm was an existence that could reach the heavens. It was laughable that they were still acting like a tyrant in front of such an expert. Flying Flame Underworld Commander, there is no need to say any unnecessary words. Please do not be entangled in these small matters. Time is of the essence. I will make it short. The Immortal Court army has already begun to attack the underworld. Please quickly inform the other 2 underworld commanders. Let bygones be bygones, and fight against the Immortal Court army. Su Yun cupped his fists and said. Chapter 12:23. Join hands with the other 2 underworld commanders? Hearing Su Yun's words, Flying Flame's resolute eyebrows immediately furrowed. Do you know what you're talking about? Lord Devil Lord of the true Devil realm, I don't know how many times you've come to the underworld, but I think you definitely don't know anything about the current situation in the underworld. Could it be that in this kind of situation in the underworld, there is something more terrifying than the Immortal Court army that has already attacked? Su Yun frowned and asked back. Bastard, are you talking to me? Flying Flames suddenly became angry, and his voice became cold. Su Yun's face was filled with confusion. He did not know what he had said to offend Flying Flames, but his reaction was truly out of his expectations. Facing the fury of the Flying Flames, Su Yun did not show the slightest bit of fear. Even in front of the Imperial Underworld sword, he did not show the slightest bit of fear. What did the Flying Flames' Dark Commander have to be afraid of? Furthermore, he dared to fight in front of the Vice President of the Immortal Court, so why would he be afraid here? Flying Flames' Underworld Commander, do you think I'm wrong? Su Yun asked indifferently. Since you don't understand the situation here, don't get involved in the matters of my underworld. I'll give you 2 choices now, either leave obediently, or stay on the other side of the Qi River. That's enough, you guys turn a deaf ear to everything else, and if you dare to meddle in other people's business, don't blame me for being impolite to your true Devil realm. Flying Flames snorted. Do you think that the strength of my true Devil realm is inferior to your underworld? So you, a mere underworld commander, dares to spout nonsense at my true Devil realm? Su Yun's eyes suddenly turned red. He immediately raised his head and stared at the Flying Flames underworld commander. The current him, for the sake of the Nether realm, spared no effort, went to the Fire Heart realm to search for the Mo Finger Flower, and went to the Wanhua realm to request for the Imperial Sword, all to save the underworld, and then save the true Devil realm. This calamity was not only a calamity for the true Devil realm, it was also a calamity for the underworld, so it was impossible for the underworld to stay out of it. Although he was not an orthodox devil cultivator, he still had the arrogant blood of the devil cultivator flowing in his bones. As an underworld commander, Fei Yen was so unreasonable, how could he not be angry? Impudent! Hearing Su Yun's words, the underworld generals on both sides all stood up, and directly pulled out the grayish-yellow swords from their waists, and pointed them at Su Yun. However, just as they raised their swords, their auras were suddenly sucked out of their bodies. Everyone's strength disappeared without a trace, as if they were being reeled from a cocoon. I have already told them that I am going to Master Flying Flames' place. The Dark Commander's place is absolutely safe, and it is Master Flying Flames's place, so there is no need to explain further. But they are still worried. I have no choice. If they have offended you in any way, I hope Master Flying Flames will forgive me." "Humph." Flying Flames frowned, and did not say anything else. Chi-He turned his head, looked at Su-Yun, and cupped his fists. "I have yet to ask. I am the true Devil Realm Demon Monarch. Greet Master Chi-He." Su-Yun cupped his fist. "So it's the true Devil Realm's Lord Demon Monarch? I never thought that we would meet here." Chi-He laughed. "Has Master Chi-He heard of me?" Su-Yun was curious. "Yes, your esteemed sect master often mentioned you when we were chatting. He said that your ability will not be below his in the future, and he praised you a lot." Chi-He said with a hint of admiration in his eyes. It was obvious that he had sensed some of the details that Su-Yun had been doing. "Is that so?" Su-Yun did not know that he had such a high position in the sect master's heart. "I heard from my brother that Lord Demon Monarch has brought news about Master Imperial Sword. I wonder if Master Imperial Sword has been well recently? Where is he now? When will he arrive in the underworld?" Chi-He said respectfully. Compared to Flying Flames's attitude, it was like heaven and earth. Although he did not know what kind of person Chi-He was, just based on his attitude, Su-Yun would still be more respectful to him, and immediately told Chi-He about the news regarding the Imperial Sword. Hearing this, Chi-He was overjoyed. If Lord Imperial Sword wishes to return to the underworld, then there will be no need to worry about the Immortal Court. The strength of the Imperial Sword was something that even the underworld commanders were convinced of. His position in the hearts of the underworld people was extremely high. It's obviously impossible to resist the army of the Immortal Court with just Lord Imperial Nether Sword alone. No matter if it's my true Devil World or the Netherworld, we all need your help. I don't know what's going on between the Nether commanders, but what I want to say is that at this critical juncture, any grudges should be temporarily put aside. It's not impossible to settle them after defeating the strong enemy. After all, this concerns the lives of the people of Two World. Su-Yun took a deep breath and said seriously, "That's right." Chi-He nodded and turned to look at Flying Flames. He opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something, but did not say anything. This matter can't be explained in a short period of time. Lord Demon Monarch, we should first prepare to welcome the arrival of Lord Imperial Sword. When Lord Imperial Sword arrives, we can settle the rest of the matters. After a long silence, Chi-He spoke. Flying Flames did not say a word from start to finish. Su-Yun glanced at Flying Flames and only nodded. Chi-He cupped his fists towards Flying Flames and said, "Since that's the case, then we need to hurry up and prepare. Master Flying Flames, we won't disturb you any longer, farewell." With that, Chi-He turned around and walked out. Su-Yun couldn't be bothered to stay any longer, so he left. Flying Flames watched the two of them leave sinisterly, the anger in his eyes growing stronger and stronger, as if his eyeballs were about to burn. "Master." Someone walked over and said in a low voice, "It seems like the true Devil Realm's Demon Lord is already on Chi-He's side. Although the true Devil Realm's strength is not that great, the Demon Lord's cultivation is very high. If he joins Chi-He's side, it will not be easy for us to defeat Chi-He in the future." "I know." Flying Flames clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. "But what can we do? Chi-He has already taken in the people of the Devil Realm in distress, and this Demon Lord is already his. We can't change anything, so we don't have to deliberately curry favor with him. But it doesn't matter, since he wants to stand on Chi-He's side, then let them stand. In the future, I will make him regret what he did today." "Master, what should we do now?" "What should we do? First, send someone to inform the 9 Calamities Underworld commander of this matter, and tell him that the Imperial Sword is about to return, so that he can take precautions as soon as possible." Flying Flames said solemnly. "Then, Master, what about the Immortal Court army?" "The Immortal Court?" Flying Flames coldly snorted. What attack on the underworld? It was just a rumor spread by Chi-He. The Immortal Court did not attack earlier or later. Why did they attack my underworld now? Wasn't the reason because of the true devil realm? The main target of the Immortal Court is the people of the true devil world, not our underworld at all. You have been misled by Chi-He. You should know that our underworld is powerful and we are not afraid of the people of the Immortal Court. Now that the true devil world has entered our underworld, the strength of the underworld should be the strongest at this time. Isn't the Immortal Court asking for trouble by choosing to attack us at this time? Therefore, this was just a method that Chi-He wanted to use to win over the hearts of the people. So that's how it is. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and get to work. Yes, my lord. Chapter 12:24. Chi-He led Su-Yun straight towards his tribe. The tribe that Chi-He was in was not far from Flying Flame's tribe. If he did not use his chi and just walked, it would only take 4 hours. But ever since Su-Yun entered the underworld, he did not see many underworld dwellers flying here. Everyone chose to walk. When he got close to Chi-He's tribe, the bustling scene in front of him was beyond Su-Yun's expectations. There were close to 100 tribes here. Although they were not big, but every tribe was extremely close to each other, and between every tribe, there were a large number of underworld dwellers going in and out. People were either talking about something or sparring. The scene was bustling with noise and excitement, making it hard for people to imagine that this was the underworld that the people of the outside world were talking about. Su-Yun looked around and realized that this place was like a bazaar. Many underworld dwellers were using all sorts of magical equipment to trade, and they were actually using celestial coins. However, the price of every underworld dweller was ridiculously expensive, at least around 100,000 celestial coins. Chi-He's tribe was in the middle of the 100 or so tribes. It was not considered big, and it was bustling with people. Other than the fact that the location was a bit better, there was nothing else that was worth paying attention to, just like him. My humble abode is simple and crude, Lord Devil Lord, please do not mind. Chi-He said with a smile, and then led Su-Yun inside. Just as he entered the tribe's gate, a hazy devil chi quietly floated into Su-Yun's nose. This devil chi was the sect leader? Su-Yun recognized the source of the devil chi. Stepping into the stone hall in the middle of the tribe with Chi-He, they saw a man dressed in a black robe and a black bamboo hat standing in the middle of the stone hall, facing the two of them. This man's entire body was emitting traces of devil chi. His face was covered by the devil chi and the bamboo hat, making it hard to see his appearance, not knowing if he was a man or a woman, but Su-Yun knew that he was the sect leader of the true devil sect. Greetings, Lord Sect Leader. Su-Yun took a few steps forward and cupped his fist. There's no need to be so polite. Sit down and talk. The sect leader said slowly, then nodded towards Chi-He. Chi-He smiled, and the three of them sat down. After sitting down, Su-Yun could not help but ask, Master Chi-He, Su-Yun would like to ask you, why are Flying Flames and 9 Calamities targeting you? Why did the 3 Netherworld Marshals have to fight endlessly, and at this critical juncture, why couldn't they work together? Is there really something more important than the safety of the underworld? If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Su-Yun would not have believed that everything he had heard came from the mouth of the underworld's underworld Marshal Fei Yin. It sounds simple, but it's actually very complicated. Chi-He sighed and said calmly, Actually, Flying Flames, and the 9 disasters already had a grudge a long time ago. It's a grudge over a woman. Women? Yes, a woman. This woman was Lord 9 Calamity's younger sister, and Flying Flame's fiancée. But this woman chose me in the end and died because of me. That's why the 2 Netherworld Marshals want to target and suppress you? But if that's the case, why don't they care about the safety of the Netherworld? You don't even care about the safety of the Netherworld? I already said that this woman died because of me, but you don't know why she died because of me. Lord Demon Lord, you don't know, at the cultivation level of the 9 calamities and flying flames, they are actually very indifferent to matters of the heart. What they care more about is benefits, but not ordinary benefits, but spiritual benefits. They desire to pursue a higher realm, so they need to use any means necessary. In truth, they did not suppress me because of this woman. On the contrary, after this matter, they hoped to ally with me, but I refused to ally with them. Ally? Ally with what? The 3 netherworld marshals ally together to control the 5 underworld generals, to become the king of the underworld, to build a country, to create an army, to fight in all directions, to fight out of the underworld, to invade the myriad worlds, to plunder more resources to use for their own cultivation. He said calmly. With that said, Su Yun was shocked. He was in a daze, and wondered if he had heard wrongly. Invade the myriad worlds? Flying flames and the 9 calamities actually had such a plan? How could their hearts be so greedy? Is this realistic? Su Yun muttered after a long while. If I really join hands with them, it won't be difficult to sweep through the myriad worlds. It's just that the immortal world will be a little troublesome. He said indifferently. Lord Demon Lord, I believe that you felt the uniqueness of this place the first time you came to the underworld, right? Most of the people here do not fly, but choose to walk and rarely use their chi. Even if they fall, they will be injured, and this protective chi does not seem to exist, and even if they are injured, the wounds cannot be healed quickly by their own cultivation. In fact, this is all because of the death aura of the underworld. In the underworld, there is a chance that the chi you use will fail, and there is also a chance that the amount of chi you use will increase by 10 times, because the death aura that exists all the time here will be integrated into people's chi, and once you use it carelessly, it will be very easy for your chi to be exhausted in an instant. Lord Demon Lord, the chi in your body is abundant, and it doesn't matter if you use it once or twice, but if you use it often, it will be different.